agenda, so we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. The regular monthly January 26th. Oh, is Jim Meyer on?
Yeah.
Okay, hey Jim. Hope you're feeling better.
Yeah, I'm feeling fine.
Good. Call to order the January 26, 2022 Sanitary District Board of Commissioners meeting in Michigan City. So I'm going to call the roll. Tim Warner.
Here.
Jeff Wright.
Here.
Tim Smith here. Holt Ettinger.
Here.
And Frank Harris. Okay. We have a quorum. First order of business is not on the agenda right now, but we need to re-elect officers for 2022. So I'm going to ask for nominations, and I think we can do this all together. Hey, John.
Good afternoon.
So I'm going to ask for first nominations for president, vice president, and secretary. So let's do president first.
Can I make a move to just...
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that all current officers remain in position for the coming year.
Any discussion? Seeing if there's no...
Second.
Can I get a second on that? Thanks, Jim.
This is Holt, I'll second it.
Okay. All in favor, Tim Warner?
Aye.
Jeff Wright?
Aye.
Tim Smith, aye. Holt Ettinger?
Aye.
Aye. So positions will be Tim Smith, president, Jeff Wright, vice president, and Holt Ettinger, secretary for 2022. All right.
And thank you all for serving.
Thank you. We'll see you at the end of 2022 if I say you're welcome. Approval of the regular board minutes of Wednesday, December 15th, 2021. Can I get a motion to approve the board minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, Tim Warner?
Aye.
Jeffrey Wright?
Aye.
Tim Smith, aye. Holt Ettinger?
Aye.
Motion passes. Is there any public comment? Yes, can you state?
You have to call to the...
Yeah, can you come up here and then state your name, please?
Sit down.
And address, yeah. Well, yeah. Might as well get comfortable.
Might as well. My name is Richard Mitchell. I represent Refuge. I work for the Refuge Department.
Okay.
My issue is we're the lowest paid Refuge Department in the state of Indiana. And I don't get that. And under the conditions that we work in, its secretaries make more money than us. And we out here really grinding to get everyone's trash in 0-degree weather. October I started. Been here every day since then. I went and got my CDL permit. You told me get my permit. I went and got my permit. Finna go take my test to get my CDL. But even before then, at 1576, I don't really take that lightly. Like we grind and put cans back and take them, all of that. I just don't see it. You got McDonald's makes Subway, and I love my city. When I said I was getting a job for the city, people were happy, like, oh yeah, you. I don't really find that to be happy. Top of the year, cuz said we was getting a 12.5% raise. I ain't seen it. I got guys in here like we really out here grinding in this weather, and it's rough. It's rough. When I say it's rough, and this is my first time at a board meeting, so how y'all doing? I mean, I really appreciate it, even giving me a chance to speak. I don't know if y'all really understand what the struggle that we going through right now. If you drag your can from your garage back to your alley in this snow, you like, man, it's rough. Be tired after that. Fingertips numb, toes get numb, hand warmers only work so much. And we bundled up. Everybody got layers on in here. All my guys layers on. I just can't see it. And why is that so? And we work in one of the 5th most dangerous jobs in the world. Who do we speak to? I don't know. I ain't trying to start no ruckus, but who do we speak to, and when can we or how can we fix it?
Well, we just voted in a 9% raise for across the board. So you're getting an
So that's the
9%.
agreement now, 9%.
Except for the, Mr. Mitchell is new.
Okay.
And when he was offered his employment, he had a job offer, employment letter that we wrote up for him to sign to accept the conditions of the job, which he accepted the conditions of the job. And he is being paid at the driver loader in training rate. And he will move up to the driver loader pay as soon as he gets his CDL. If he gets his CDL tomorrow, he goes up to that pay tomorrow, okay? And so he knew what he was starting at, and he knew those conditions. And when the board approved the 9% pay raise, the driver loaders in training were only given a 4.5% pay raise because we wanted to have that extra incentive for them to get their CDLs. We've had, now I'm not pointing the finger at Mr. Mitchell, okay? He's new, but we have, wow, I don't know exactly how many guys, I could count them, several guys that have been here for over a year and haven't gotten their CDL license yet, and really, most of them haven't even gotten their permit yet. First you have to get a permit, then you have to drive so much, and then you can get your CDL license. So that's one of the things where we wanted to have that extra incentive, and we talked about this, to make sure that they were going and getting their CDLs, because what we were having a problem with before was we didn't have enough people that could drive the trucks, and we still don't really. If the 4 or 5 or 6 of the CDL drivers call off one day, we're not gonna be able to we'll have to call some other people from, like, the collections department to come drive the trucks.
We got a couple of them finna transfer out now.
That's the thing that we need these men to get their CDLs, and like I said, we have an employment offer letter, which I didn't know he was coming to the meeting today. I could give you, the board members, a copy of the employment offer letter, and it talks all about that stuff, explains it all in there.
Yeah, you explained, he explained all of that to me in the beginning, like,
Yeah.
you get your CDL, you'll make more. Totally understood all of that.
Yeah.
Where he had me sold is top of the year, don't even worry about it. You gotta get in for the top of the year, because top of the year, all city workers get a 12.5% raise.
Absolutely.
So here's what we did.
you
We're
broke
a
it
different
to 9.
department. We're a different department than the city. We took the raises very seriously, and we consider all you guys. I go down and I talk to my driver, my loaders, all the time. When it's cold out like this, I make sure and talk to them and say, hey, are you bundled up? Are you okay? Everything's good. If there isn't, let me know.
Care and concern.
So bottom line is that we care about all the employees that work for the sanitary district, and that's why we took the raises very, very seriously. So we had one of our board members, Holt, and also Scott, take a look at and compare other municipalities around us. And I don't know how many, Scott, we took a look at? 12. We took a look at 12.
Right.
And we thought a 9% raise was reasonable for what the other municipalities were getting as well.
And the 9.5 got cut to 4.5 unless you have to get your CDL to receive the other 4.5, but the others but the CDL, if I'd have came in and got my CDL even before then, I would have got a raise anyway. Drivers start at what, 18?
They're paying $20 an hour now.
For the driver.
Right.
Yep.
Question. If you want to talk, you'll
Yeah,
have
you
to come up.
need to come up here and sit down,
If
please.
you want to, you should have like,
Come on.
Do I state my name or?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm Nick Patrick.
Okay.
So I have a question. So, Mr. Cuss, I was hearing you say the CDL, when you get your CDL, the drivers are getting up to that raise. So the incentive was to start, train, get your CDL permit, and go on to drive the trucks and whatnot. So with that being said, so say for instance, all of the loaders that we have now, we all got our CDL. and we still have our oncoming drivers and whatnot and our loaders, where would that leave us as far as us having our CDLs and not being able to drive because there's no room and there's already drivers there?
Okay, what the situation is that if you had your CDL license, that, what's up, man? That you would, we would try to rotate you in as necessary to drive. We want you to learn how to drive so that you know how to drive, okay? And the job, we changed, this is long before you got here, we changed the job. We used to have drivers that made like this, and we used to have loaders. Okay, that actually made less than the $15.79 an hour. He said $15.76, but it was $15.79. They actually made less than that, okay? So then we took that job and we changed the driver job to driver loader job. So that you're either, you might drive and you might load, but we want everyone to be able to drive the truck. That's why we did that, because we couldn't have people where there was really no incentive to get the CDL. So that's why we came up with that pay range, okay? Actually, I might, let me back up a second. I might be a little wrong about what they were making, because it might have been a little closer to the driver pay, and so that's why we lowered it down a little bit, so that there was more incentive to get your CDL. So now all the jobs are driver loaders. So none of you gentlemen that don't have do not have a CDL, you would have never even been able to work at all for the sanitary district because you didn't have your CDL. So I went to the board probably, what now, I want to say 4 years ago maybe,
Yeah.
and I said, why don't we create a different job called driver loader in training, and that way we could hire some men or women that want to come in that don't have their CDL. We can get them the training while they're here, and they can get their CDL, and as soon as they get their CDL, they'll go up to this other, the real pay. Like really, you're like underfilling the position. So that's how it works. And then once you got your CDL, it's going to be up to the management of the refuse department who wants to drive today, who's going to drive today, and who's going to be on the back of the truck today. But I would love for everyone to have their CDL license, because that gives us a better talented pool of employees, and that's what we need, and that's why I gave you guys the opportunity to come here and work. And I was excited for all of you to come and work here. And I think that what you're trying to say is that you don't feel that overall, two things I think that Mr. Mitchell was saying at least, is that overall he believes the pay is just too low no matter what. And then number two, the fact that if you get your CDL license, you'll go up to a higher pay, and maybe he doesn't think that's fair, I don't know. But that's how it works. Does that answer your question?
Yes. No. So you said the driver, and I'm sorry if I'm getting this confused, I'm sorry. You said the job description is driver loader. Mm-hmm. So is that like written in paper? Mm-hmm. Okay, so
yes, sir.
So how would we as loaders go about, when we get our CDL permit or whatnot, how would we go about, oh, well, I want to drive today? Because as I've seen, and I'm probably not anywhere to even say, but as I've seen since I've started, the same people that drive. There's no, okay, I'm going to switch this and we're going to do this and switch that. There's no switching. There's one person that I see noticeably that will get on the back of his truck to understand where we're coming from in a day's time. Within a week's time, he will get on the back of that truck to see where we're coming from, you understand? So yeah. I want to understand, like, because you guys say...
I understand your question. Just right now, we only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 men that have a CDL license. So we only have 7 drivers, and we have 5 routes pretty much every day, okay? And one of these men right now I know is off because of health reasons, okay? So that leaves us 6. And then, so there's not going to be a lot of ability to change who's driving, because no one else has stepped up and gotten their CDL license so far. But do you have your permit yet, sir?
No.
Okay, if you get your permit, okay, then as managers of the sanitary district, we need to make sure that you're getting the opportunity, once you get your permit, to work in on the truck and learn how to drive the truck, because you've got to go past the driving part of the test too.
Correct.
And not only the book part of the test.
Correct.
Getting the permit's really not that hard. It's 100 questions or something, and you answer the question, not 50. Okay, you answer the questions and you get your permit. But then there's another test you have to take, which is a lot more difficult, and then you also have to do a driving test. But that was our plan, you know, that still is our plan. I think it's actually a really good plan, it's a good opportunity to bring some young men in like you and give you guys an opportunity to put your foot in the door. And frankly, once you get your CDL, I mean, you know, the world's wide open once you get your CDL license. I mean, we'd love to have you here at the Sanitary District, but, you know, if you want to go drive across the country or do whatever you want to do, I mean, you drive around and just look around, everyone's looking for CDL drivers everywhere.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's how we looked at it, because, you know, we were having trouble finding guys with CDLs. Plus, there's a lot of men out there that, you know, they just need a break. You know, they need a chance to prove themselves, and that's why we did that. You
I
know?
appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You just wanted to express your opinion.
Yeah, and that's fair.
We got about 17 months, but after the top of the year,
Well, it didn't
that
happen,
was a
sir.
couple of months. You know, February, I
Yeah.
started 15, 17.
But you already have your permit, don't you?
You told me go get it. I went and got it.
There you go. Have you been practicing driving? Have they been giving
Been
you?
driving.
Okay, good. So
I ain't told them nothing. I'm driving.
good,
Yeah.
good.
So we've got to move on with the agenda.
Okay,
So
I'm
if
sorry.
there's anyone else, no, I want to say to you guys, you're really important to us. We really, really appreciate everything you do, and that's why I talk to my driver and my loaders every day, or when they come once a week, because, you know, I understand your issue, and, you know, you see some of the pictures of all the crap that some people put out there, and unfortunately, citizens don't really understand that you guys work your butts off to be able to clean up their garbage. And so I want to say thank you from the board for that. And, you know, we were very serious when we talked about the raises and stuff, and we didn't want to leave anyone short. So, you know, I personally, as a chairman, want to thank you for everything you do. But, you know, we had to take a look at raises and everything else, and what's coming up with the board, and that's why we thought that
4.5 was fair.
9% was fair. So, but
What's 4.5% pay, 20 cents? That's what I want to know.
What's that?
I really didn't need to know. I was saying, what's 4% pay? 23 cents an hour extra?
No, it went up from 15. It went to 16.50 an hour from 15.79.
16.
Huh?
71 cents.
Yeah.
so.
But, you know, there's no reason that, you know, I mean, again, if they need
Yeah.
any help studying tests, we've got manuals on the CDL license and stuff like that. And I mean, I'm happy with the new guys. I mean, seriously, been a couple issues here and there. I can't say it's been 100% perfect, but for the most part, most of the new guys have been really good and have been coming to work and doing a good job, and we appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you need any help to help you get your CDL license, we'll be glad to try to help you.
That's what I think we want to do. We want to support you guys with that. So, you know, if you feel you're not getting the help, then you need to come back here, and we'll see if we can fix that for you. So,
I'll say I'm glad they came.
yeah, I am too.
And I'd say that it seems apparent that what the plan was to get some incentive is working. So it's incumbent on you guys to go get that CDL thing.
I
And
just want
then,
to keep doing what I. Don't get me wrong. Love the job.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Love the job. Love the job. But, whew, I swear these cold days have made it hard. It made me reconsider some things. I said, I need to go talk to somebody.
Well, none of you.
Because I was still stuck in 1579. I wasn't, it hadn't changed yet.
None of you were here, but the last time that I went out on the back of the refuse truck and did your job, I'm pretty sure that day it was minus 12 degrees was the day that I went out there. Jimmy Michaels, you guys know him, he can vouch for that for you. And in fact, the driver was getting so mad at me because, and there was a lot of snow too, he was getting so mad at me because I kept wanting to, you know, put the cans back where, you know, they needed to go and stuff, and you gotta just get going. And I didn't want to quit, they wanted to quit. So I know what you're talking about with the cold weather, and, you know, there's two things on the refuse job that makes it tough, the really cold weather and the really hot weather, you know? And I don't know which one's really worse, you know, because I've done that too. We went out and picked up household towels one time, me and Jimmy Michaels, when it was hot. Oh my, it was like 98 that day, and humidity was, you know, you say 100%, but obviously it wasn't 100%, but it was high. So, okay?
And I just want to say, you know, to the public, you know, these guys that are here, you know, they work hard for the city, picking up the trash and everything, and like they just expressed, you know, on the Richard just expressed on these cold days that, and there's snow where the snowplows put it down by your driveway, and the cans are down there, and these guys got to pick them up or drag them. You could really help these guys and the city of Michigan City if you would just clean up where you're going to put your trash bins, and make sure you've got everything in the trash bins that go in them. So, I would please ask the city of that, because these guys work really hard for us, and I thank you for everything you guys do.
Yeah, no problem.
Listen, I swear we'll ride past it.
No,
They too far back in the snow.
All right, guys, thank you
Till
again.
next time.
All right, all right.
Gus, can I talk to you later?
It's gonna be a while. but-
Okay, let's move on to Dan McCoy with the safety report. Dan, safety report? Oh.
Afternoon. One thing,
Oh, wait a minute,
Excuse me,
Mr. President,
please.
hang on a second, Tim. Mr. President, I had another item for public comment that
Okay,
people
sorry.
brought to my attention.
Okay.
And they wanted to come to the meeting and everything, and I told them that with COVID and all that, that I would just bring it up to the board on my own. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I have my notes.
But before you do that, Mr. Mayor, I know you're here. Do you have a time constraint, or?
No, sir.
Okay, all right, I just wanted to be respectful of your time. I know you got a lot of things you're doing.
I was approached by a couple citizens about putting a park bench at Strebel Pond. I guess Strebel, the stormwater control facility. One of the nurses, I believe, at the hospital has recently passed away, and she would walk at the Strebel stormwater facility on a regular basis, and they wanted to know if they could put a bench out there in the person's honor. And somebody else just asked me just recently the same type of question, about similar question anyway, and I told them sure, and then this particular person was asking me, well, what do I need to do? What kind of park bench? Does it have to be the same? And my advice was, are you going to buy it, or are we going to buy it? And I said that the best way to do it would be for them to purchase their bench that they would like to have, and for them to put their little dedication on the bench that they would like, and then we could work together to find a spot where they would like to put it out on the trail. And I thought I'd bring that up to the board to see if you had any issues with that approach, as far as them purchasing the bench. And they want to know if one had to match all the other benches. And I just kind of felt like, no, it doesn't need to match. I mean, you can get whatever bench you would like, to purchase. So is that okay with the board if I get back to the citizen along those lines?
Yeah. Any discussion with the board at all?
I have no exceptions to that approach.
Okay, I will return that information, and then they can work through the Sanitary District Management to where they want to put it then, okay? Okay, thank you. Sorry, I had my notes and I forgot.
That's okay. All right. I think we're done with public comment. So, Dan, please,
Okay.
go ahead.
so in December, we had a number of COVID illnesses. A total of 14 cases occurred within the entire sanitary district. 4 of those cases were work-related and will be documented in the OSHA 300 logs appropriately. And so we've used the protocol and have managed our way through that. The Omicron variant is just it spreads very, very easily, and so that's why we're here today wearing masks and continue to follow the protocols that we need to follow. So in addition to that, we did have one recordable injury in water reclamation, and that occurred at Hitchcock, where we deposit the leaves and everything, and it was just right at dusk, a little after dusk. We're using a payloader, an inloader, to push the leaves and everything. Unfortunately, the loader became stuck in some mud, and so the driver got out to take a look at it, and when he did, he stepped in a rut hit his knee on a log. He was off on light duty for 2 days and then right back to work. So what we learned from that was that we need to do a better risk assessment when we're in those kinds of situations. It's dusk, just right after dusk, and we needed to have light stands in place. First of all, with the light stands there, he probably would not have gotten the loader stuck. And secondly, he would have been able to see where he was stepping out into. So that's some of the preventative actions that we took right there in that particular case. And, we had some fine representatives from the refuse department here. And I wanted to say something about some of the good work that they continue to do. Had a good question last month about the training they're receiving on safety. And what I wanted to do this month was to emphasize that the driver loader classification, that's an individual with the CDL license, has 11 different courses to take, and there are modules within those, so it ends up being about 13 different courses. The driver loader in training has 9, and with modules in there, that ends up being 10. So there are quite a few of those. All in all, it takes about 8.5 hours of time for them to complete that training. What we like about it is it's not done all at once, but it's done whenever they're able to work a little bit of free time in. They go to a computer and then they're able to take that training. So that kind of keeps safety out there in front of them over a longer period of time. And it seems to be working quite well. At the end of the year, they were 93% completion, but then by the end of the first week, right into the second week of January, they reached 100% completion, which I think is just absolutely outstanding. Yeah. Combined with the weather conditions and all that they're working with, also with the COVID restrictions and with the cases of COVID, I think it's just extremely commendable. And I just want to recognize them for that. We're working, again with refuse, we're working with the fire department and making sure that the fire department is aware that with compressed natural gas trucks, there's a unique way in which to handle an emergency if there's a release of compressed natural gas. And so we'll probably have a tabletop exercise when the weather gets a little bit better with one of our CNG trucks and with the fire department to make sure that they have a really good pre-plan for an emergency that might occur related to CNG, the release of CNG. It's really not much different than a vehicle fire from traditional fuels. It's just there are different techniques that have to be used and followed. And so we just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page and they have a good pre-plan. And there are quite a few activities that took place during the month. We were able to get the RMP, Risk Management Plan, through submitted to the EPA on November 16, which is when it was due, and so that has been accomplished. And that's all I have to present today to kind of get through the time that we have. Are there any questions?
Does anyone have any questions?
What is occupational exposure?
Occupational exposure would be if the individual referring to COVID, correct?
No, I was just reading this here. It says one illness resulting from possible work-related occupational exposure, and then later on with 3 illnesses resulting from possible work-related.
Yeah, that's
exposure.
That's COVID.
That's all COVID.
That's all COVID, okay. Right? Okay. It might be where I have a non-occupational exposure from a relative. I come to work, I have symptoms I'm working with you, we're working in close proximity, and then you become symptomatic, and then you're the occupational exposure, I'm the non-occupational exposure.
Okay,
And
thank
that's
you.
what that is.
Are there winter conditions for safety that the men go through?
Yes, yes,
And summer too.
and summer,
We
yeah.
do
Okay,
both.
so there's a whole different program for winter.
Winter
A
safety.
modified program of winter safety.
Yeah, so, good question. So with winter safety, you may have seen Mr. Mitchell right here had some of his equipment on that he wears when he's on the truck, and then some of the other individuals who weren't on screen. Those individuals have equipment that they wear during winter time, and that's part of their clothing allowance, and some of that is then supplied also if it's related to personal protective equipment above and beyond that. We go through quite a bit in the way of safety meetings to make sure that we remind them to do everything that's needed to prevent hypothermia, which is extremely important. And just as Mr. Mitchell's saying, it's brutal out there. There's nothing we can do about a -12 chill factor, except we need to modify our work schedules, how we go about doing our work, providing more breaks. They get into the cab more frequently. In addition to that, stepping on and off the side steps, they're counseled and reminded to make sure that that side step is kept as clean as possible, that when they get off the truck, make sure the truck has already stopped. Don't hop off before it stopped, so that they can have a safe disembarkment from that truck using 3 points of contact. And again, I encourage the citizens to please do all you can to keep the area around your cans, the garbage cans, clean as best you can, so that we can minimize injury and make their job just a little bit easier. So, and then with the summertime, it's the flip of that. What do we do about heat stress and how we minimize heat stress?
Okay.
And also, you did the snowplow training too, which
Correct.
was winter time. We had some extensive, and we did that twice already.
Yes.
Extensive snowplow training, and we had it normally. One year was over at Krieger, and then we went and actually did some training on how to plow and stuff like that. And we invited the whole city. In fact, we invited, I think, some people from outside the city too.
Yeah,
Also
sure did.
And that was really successful. And we've done that for a few years now, and we're trying to do it every year. Maybe I don't know if we can get it this year. It's a little harder with COVID and stuff, but that's another thing that Dan's done in the winter, and something that we've done, because plowing snow, that can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Good questions. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any other
Good work by you,
questions?
Mr. McCoy.
Yeah, thank you.
Good work by the guys like Van Sickle back here. Some of those guys,
Yeah.
and also the other foreman as well.
I want to say that also and Mr. Mayor Perry might want to chime in here if I get it wrong, but at the last department head mayor, we had Charlie Keene. You guys all know Charlie Keene. He comes to our meetings. I want to say he kept it pretty short at the department head meeting, not like when he comes to our meetings. I'm kidding, but he was talking about safety and protocols like that also, and he actually commended the sanitary district for having Mr. McCoy, and we put that stuff right up front. That's why it's in the beginning of the agenda each month, because of the importance of safety.
Yeah.
And that's job one, actually. There's all those little slogans like that, but I just wanted to point that out, that it's something that the city, I believe, is going to try to look at a little more closely in all the departments or something, Mayor. And Mr. McCoy, we pay his salary out, or we pay his invoices that he gives us. He's a contractor, but certainly to some degree he can float around the city if you'd like him to some degree. We would be more than willing to help support. But safety's everybody. You know what I mean? If it's one department or the other department, we all need to work safely. So if he can be of some assistance in some way, we'll be glad to try to help out if we can.
Thank you, Mike. We appreciate that. Safety saves corporations money.
Yeah.
And at $58 million budget, Mission City is a corporation.
That's true.
And you also had him come there to give a talk about COVID to the rest of the city. That was another thing he did. So Dan's
Very
very
appreciative
valuable.
of that.
And helped out a little bit with, getting ready for this snow season and with the trucks and their salt spreaders and everything. So we've worked together on a number of good projects.
Does Water Department have a safety program as well? Do you know? Water Department, do they have a safety program? Do you know if Water Department has this?
They fall under risk management plan, just like our disinfection process. So the short answer is yes.
Okay,
And I don't know any more about that.
okay. There's
Yeah.
somebody there. that-
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
excellent, thank you.
And I appreciate your support.
Well, we appreciate what you do for the sanitary district and the city, Dan, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, we've got, do we have any open?
No, there's no quotes or bids.
So,
The health update.
do we want to take the health update? Yeah.
I'll just make it brief. I think unless you've been living in a cave, you realize that the COVID numbers are spiking high. The Omicron is everywhere. We have actually been relatively fortunate at the sanitary district. I mean, we certainly have had our share. I look to Steve because he keeps an Excel spreadsheet for us with when people can come back to work, and Steve is totally on top of his game when it comes to COVID. He's our go-to guy. We've managed through it pretty well, though. Honestly, overall, we've had some people that have been off, but some of them have been able, with their jobs, have been able to work from home, and while others weren't, we've given some leave of absences. I think I sent you those leave of absences for as many of the people. And we also, there was a couple of people, I think two, if I remember correctly, where they were gonna lose their holiday pay and everything because they were off for COVID, and we advanced them some of their vacation time from 2022 to cover, so they had their work, because you have to work the day before and the day after your regularly scheduled shift to receive the holiday pay, so we worked all that out. So everybody that I know that has had COVID is back, with the exception of a few people that have it now. So that's about it there.
Michael, I'm speaking out of turn, I think.
No, you're all right.
But it's important to note that there were no hospitalizations out of the 14 cases.
That's great.
So that's awesome.
Thanks.
That's great. All right, thank you. So I want to move on to item 8, and I'm going to give Mike the floor.
Okay, I'm gonna stand up for this, if you don't mind, and move back so I can just take my mask off if I'm not by anybody. Hope I'm not too close to Steve. I just had some notes written here. I just wanted to say that, as everyone knows, my last day in Michigan City Sanitary District is January 29th, 2022. I will be turning over the helm to the new general manager effective at 12 a.m. on January 30th, 2022. Okay? First and foremost, I just really want to say thank you. Really, thank you. And sincerely appreciate the opportunity to work here. First, I'd like to start out saying a thank you to Ron Muir for having the guts to bring to light the deceitful practices at the sanitary district while he worked here. That really changed everything, it really did. And thank you, Mayor Muir, for the opportunity to serve and for recommending me to the Board of Commissioners for approval as the general manager. I'd really like to thank Mayor Perry for his support and his encouragement. And I had a little conversation with the Honorable Mayor today, and I told him about his positive attitude, that I really appreciate that too. So thank you, Mayor, for your encouragement and your support and your positive attitude. I think that goes a long way.
Thank you, Mike.
I'd also like to thank Board Presidents Jankowski, Gonder, Mitchell, and Smith for their unwavering support. Appreciate that. I'd like to thank board members Keith Harris, Peller, Wright, Werner, Frank Harris, and Holt Edinger. The leadership of this Board of Commissioners has ensured that the district has had the opportunity to achieve their mission. You know, we have a mission. It's somewhere on the wall, I believe, in here. And without this board, without the collective people that have been on this board, we would never have been able to do that. So really, I really, hands off to this board. You guys really did a great job. I'd like to offer a special thanks to Attorney Meyer. I used this word before, blessed, And the district is truly blessed, and it sounds like an overstatement, but it's really not. Truly blessed to have him on our team. He's an amazing individual, for those of you that don't know him, on a personal level, and his assistance has been essential to our success here. I'd like to thank all the engineers, we got one here today, and consultants that have helped us be successful. Without their work, and I guess we got two. We got a consultant that helps us with safety all the time, and of course John Doyle. John Doyle's been around here in the Sanitary District, I think, for what, about 15 years or so, John? That's what you've been working here in Michigan City. So.
A little longer than that.
Okay. And I really would like to thank the citizens of Michigan City for their support. But most importantly, probably, I'd like to thank the staff of the Michigan City Sanitary District. They've been through a lot in the last 30 years. It's been a roller coaster ride. From the best plant in Region 5 in 1992 to under criminal investigation in 2010. Okay? I had the file, I meant to bring the file, the criminal investigation file in with me for those of you that don't believe it's true, and I wanted to hold it up, but I guess I just left it laying on my desk. This facility was under federal and criminal investigation, and in fact they wanted to take criminal action against the Sanitary District and the City of Michigan City for the actions that happened here. Luckily, I believe we were able to go up there and meet with them in Chicago on a couple of occasions and talk them out of that. We told them that we were in place to get this turned around, and hopefully we did. And as I told President Mitchell when he was still the president, here we are again, the best sanitary district in the state of Indiana. I've only been here for 10 years, but those who have been here longer know what I mean when I say roller coaster ride. But it's their dedication to the environment, clean neighborhoods, clean air, clean water that have made all the difference. Great job, men and women of the sanitary district. Sincerely, a great job. Really appreciate your help and your efforts. There are, however, two employees that I would like to thank by name. Those employees are James Michaels and Andrew Mechanic. Without their willingness to put their faith in me, the great things we accomplish may never have happened. And I just want to say enough said right there. In life, we try to leave things better than they are when we arrived. For me, that challenge was firmly evident upon my arrival, and without question, together we have been highly successful. I took over an organization that was under federal criminal investigation, an organization that had recently been issued both a state civil enforcement action for water violations and a federal civil action for related air noncompliance, and I know Mr. McCoy knows about that. Together we turned it around. Together, that's the key word, together. Our compliance record, our commitment to clean neighborhoods, our commitment to clean air, our commitment to clean water, our commitment to fiscal responsibility, and our commitment to public education and outreach are lasting examples of our success. Going forward, I know it's the mayor's wish that Milorad Milatovic take over as the general manager. That final decision rests with the board, but I assure you the district will be in capable hands if he is selected. Additionally, the district's current operational manager, Mr. Steve Stanford, sitting here to my right, deserves everyone's full support. This man is loyal, he's a true professional, and a leader that can be trusted to outperform any of your expectations. And if Mr. Milatovic is approved as the next general manager, I strongly recommend that he move without hesitation and appoint Mr. Kevin Van Sickle as the next superintendent of the Water Reclamation Department. Mr. Van Sickle is sitting back here. No one on this planet, and I mean no one, knows our wastewater plant and our lift stations better than Mr. Van Sickle. He's a licensed Class 4 operator, the highest in the state, and under his leadership, the maintenance department has saved the city of Michigan City millions of dollars by keeping old equipment operational instead of requiring the purchase of new equipment. I could make you a long, long list, but I'm just going to talk about three. Energy study that we had. They wanted us to remove our dissolved air flotation unit and put in a gravity belt thickener so we could save, like, I don't know, some small $9,000 over 15 years of energy or something like that. The cost of that project, $1.4 million it was estimated at, okay? I think I looked at it and it was gonna take 64 years or something to get payback on that. Mr. Van Sickle, under his leadership and his team, he didn't do it on his own, but under his leadership and the team, they went through our current dissolved air flotation unit and reconditioned every valve, all the sprockets, all the change, the entire unit. And I don't know the cost, I really don't, but I can't imagine it was over $50,000 to do that work. And that unit has worked without fail since that, and that was like 5 or 6 years ago that was done. And savings right there of at least $1.4 million. We have these old Solaire air compressors. The guys from Solaire come over here and they listen to these things run. They run like clockwork, and they don't make them anymore. And they've told us many times, don't ever get rid of those compressors because they are money. But when I got here, they weren't working very well, and the mechanics went through those and rebuilt them, completely rebuilt them, and they work fine. New air compressors for those plant air compressors, they serve air, provide air for our entire plant, probably between $100,000 and $200,000 that's going to cost. And now, a subject, the sand filter building, okay? We've been talking about getting new controls in the sand filter building for a long time, and I'm looking at him because this is, he keeps telling me after I leave he's going to finally fix it. Anyways, the new controls alone were estimated at $200,000 for new controls. And we have reconditioned all of our old controls, our floats, and our PCL, programmable logic controller system that we have in there. It still works, it still runs. And then there's been talk about changing our sand filters over to like a cloth media, or even you got these really fine like stainless steel screens that they use. They're really like, you know, small micropores. And to recondition that building and to take it away from its sand filtration, I'm going to tell you, you're probably looking at close to $3 million in order to do that, okay? He went through with his team and they reconditioned every one of the floors in the sand filters, all the valves, everything, all new sand, and that building has been working great. Okay. And it's saving the city money, saving us money, and the water that it puts out, you come out here in the summertime, you want to take a look at this water, literally looks like drinking water going out to Trail Creek. So there's been a lot of savings. So anyways, enough about all that. I just want to say that if Mr. Miladovich moves into the general management position, someone will need to be keeping a close eye on the wastewater treatment plant, and in my opinion, Mr. Van Sickle is definitely the man for the job. I truly believe Michigan City is a great city with enormous potential. I sincerely believe that Michigan City is the best city in the state of Indiana. Certainly, without question, it has the most opportunity. Please, Michigan City, don't settle for good enough. Don't do it. Strive for excellence, strive for superior, and strive for being the absolute best. My plea to the citizens of Michigan City is this. When you wake up every day, strive to work together. Strive to find common ground. Strive to be part of the solution. And as our attorney would tell you, remember, working together really works. I know, and by working together, I know Michigan City can move forward and be a shining example, and not only the best city in Indiana, but certainly the best city on the Great Lakes. Lastly, I would like to say something that I've said many times over my 37-year career. A few years longer than you, Mr. Doyle, 37 years. When we work on the environment, when we work to protect the environment, I've always told myself that I'm doing it for the children. So if things ever get rough and you're wondering why you're in this job, take a step back and remember that you're doing this job for the children so that they can have a better environment to grow up in. Okay, that's enough. Thank you for the opportunity to serve Michigan City, and I hope you're pleased with my performance. Thank you, really. I appreciate that. You don't need to be long.
No, I'm not believing that. I really appreciate everything you've done.
Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice.
So I want to give, Mr. Mayor, do you want to say anything at this point?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll say a few words. Mike, you're a pretty tough act to follow. But I will say that you're a classy guy and a job well done.
Thank you, sir.
I'm saddened to lose you, but I'm happy for you because as we go through life and we have the opportunity to make a change that makes things better for us, we take it, and that's what you're doing. Michigan City's loss is going to be EPA Region 5's gain.
Thank you, sir.
You've done a great job. That's cannot be debated. And I thank you so much for everything you've done. And I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you very much, and I wish you nothing but the best, too.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. So I'd like to open it up to the other commissioners right now, and if they have anything they want to say.
Well, I'll start since I'm down at this end and you look that way. Mike, I appreciate working with you here on the board since I've been here. When I first came in to talk to you about a position here at the Sanitary District some years ago, I thought, this is the guy. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Holt, are you still on? No, Holt left. Holt? Oh.
He told me that he was going to have,
He's snorkeling.
might have reception issues, but he did say he would call back in if he got
Okay.
disconnected. Holt, are you there? He's not saying anything, so.
All right, Jeff.
Yes.
There he is.
There he
There he
is.
is.
Okay, go ahead, Holt.
Yes, thank you. I've heard most of what was already said, and there's a little bit of a issue with some of the breaking up on the call, but I'll do the best I can to hopefully not repeat something that maybe was said prior. But for those of you who've been around Michael, better known as Mr. Cuss, this gentleman has put his whole heart, his emotions, his energy, his positivity, his I'm gonna say smarts, and he has brought so much to this to our citizens of Michigan City that we are the lucky ones to have been blessed to have Mr. Cuss leading this district, which is a fine district. Certainly better, much better, leading it much better than he found it. Having been here nearly, I think I got on board 3, 4, 5 months after he arrived. And our discussions, although vast at times, always came from his point of view with the highest integrity, the highest honesty, and the leadership skills that I'll steal just this and I'll cut this down. That Mike and I have spoken many times, and we've had private conversations that have talked about his moving on, and I'm going to steal this from and end with this. Mr. Myers said working together really works. I'm going to just change it up just a bit and say that working together with Michael really worked, with an ED on the end. Michael, thank you very much. There aren't words to express, and really no understanding that could be given to what you've done for this district over these last 10 years. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the compliments.
Thanks, Holt. Jeff?
So I have notes.
Okay.
I interviewed with Michael years ago. I'm not exactly sure how many years ago it was, but I think it might have been just after you start. I'm not sure, but it might have been just after you started. But when I left the interview, I was really impressed, and I thought, I could really work for this guy. And because I perceived him, as like a great leader and somebody that was really smart. And so, you just don't take a sanitary district in the state that it is and just turn that around. That just doesn't happen. That takes leadership, and it takes somebody that's smart and knows how to get it done. And and Michael brought that to the table. He turned it around and made Michigan City to one of the premier sanitary districts in the state, if not the premier sanitary district in the state. And that just doesn't happen. And I perceive him as probably one of the smartest guys I've ever met. And so we're gonna lose
It's not true.
something.
You
And
start getting more people.
maybe I need to no. That just drives me down the
Thank you
ladder.
for the compliment.
So, but I don't want to drone on like too long, but I want to point something out, and it's just one example that I'm aware of. And he presented at the board a study regarding this dissolved oxygen and blower study. And I don't think, like the public at large, I don't think people understand how impressive that really was. I mean, it was a beautiful, I'm going to call it an engineering work of art. Okay, that doesn't happen. People just don't do that. That comes from being intelligent, from knowing the process, knowing how to study the variables, knowing how to track the variables, and then make the adjustments that were made. That doesn't happen. That takes a lot. That's process engineering. And that's just one example. And I don't know how many times he's brought that kind of skill, that kind of style, that kind of engineering to the table. But I'm sure it's more than just the one time. And it's those things that add up that make the sanitary district run the way it does now. And so I don't know Michael like on a personal level. I've only known him on a professional level. But I have to say, meeting a guy like Michael, that only happens like once in a career. Somebody that has that kind of skill and can bring that kind of brain power to solve problems and run something like a sanitary district. It only comes once in a career. And I'll finish up with, I consider Michael a friend, and the honor and the privilege really has been mine. I'm sure that whatever he does, wherever he goes, that place will be better, like in the long run. And so, good luck, my friend. I wish you well.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your compliments, and I just want to say again that I didn't do it by myself. It took everybody here at the sanitary district, okay? And it was a big job to turn it around. I'm not going to argue with you there. But when we put together our compliance plan, it ended up with 99 different items in that compliance plan. These people, all of them, not just the ones here, all of them, they all bought in. And we all worked together, accomplished it, and got it done, and really turned it around. And the board too. The board bought in. You're bringing this stuff to the board, and they're looking at you. Man, you got to do all this, and we got it done. I remember couldn't believe how fast we got it done. And so the commitment was. I just want to make that one point. It's everybody working together, Jeff. And thank you so much for your compliments. They mean a lot to me. They really do. And I interviewed you, and I interviewed you for the job. Look, you guys are both on the board. Find out some other people I interviewed.
We're lucky to have them. So, Michael, on a personal note, when I joined the board and I was appointed, I knew that I would really like you because I grew up in northern Minnesota and I went to school, graduated with one of the best hockey schools in America. And you and I talked about that a lot.
I love to play hockey. I'm ready to go.
So
We just played last week. Me and Johnny just played last week. So.
And it's something that I have a great respect for you on, that that you're still playing. So, But, you and I have had discussions and differences along the way, and we've respected each other just like you talked about, and we've worked together to really make this a better sanitary district. And I applaud you and thank you for everything that you've done along the way. And you can say, yes, it is the whole sanitary district, and I look around to all these guys that are in this room, and you guys do an absolutely phenomenal job for us. You really do. We're blessed to have two guys that you joked about that you employed them, but with their knowledge on this board, I think they bring it better. And with Holt and Frank, it works all together. But we wouldn't have this if we didn't have a leader. And, sometimes you're pretty humble about that, but your leadership in every direction, sometimes I'd get those calls from you in the morning, and it was like, oh, shoot, what's going on now, Michael? and we talked about it, and you explained the situation, and you were on top of it, and it didn't matter what time of day it was. Your dedication, like Holt said, has been unwavering and phenomenal.
Well, thank you.
And so I just want to thank you, along with these guys, with all the expertise that you've given us. We're blessed to have that expertise, and I know Region 5 will be too. And you just do a phenomenal job, and Northwest Indiana is just going to really benefit from your knowledge and your skills.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Really.
So I'll leave with one thing that I always think about you, and that's a saying: I always remember to fall asleep with a dream and wake up with a purpose. You did that for us here because you had a dream of making this a better sanitary district, and you woke up with that purpose every morning. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you, sir. Means a lot.
We've got a plaque for you.
Oh, no.
We want to say thank you. So,
I'm not gonna open it up, so I don't get like fingerprints all over it.
Tim, come out.
But,
We'll stand in front of the phone so Holt is there.
Yeah.
should I read it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a composite work of the board.
Okay.
Okay. The Sanitary Board of Commissioners, Michigan City, Indiana, recognize and convey this certificate of outstanding service to the General Manager of the Michigan City Sanitary District, Michael P. Cuss, having demonstrated outstanding qualities of leadership, integrity, and knowledge in the performance of his duties on this 26th day of January 2022.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Very
it.
nice, Michael.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Sure. Thank you. Let's get up. Can I get you guys to get a picture of this, please? Someone take a picture here. Look at this.
Very nice. Thank you very much.
Mike,
With your
could you
camera?
do that, please? Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you. Come over, Jeff.
I'll try to live up to Michael's standards in picture taking.
Wait a minute, put him down for
COVID free.
Okay.
Nobody breathe.
He's laughing about that, but for those of you that have worked with me, I threatened to send these guys to photo school because every time I say get a picture, I can never tell what the picture is going.
That's good.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mike, unfortunately, I have to go to another meeting, so I just wanted to tell you again, from the bottom of my heart,
Thank you. You did a great job. Keep up the good work there, Mayor.
I would ask the board to please consider appointing Mike Milanovich as your new manager. And I promise you that between Mike, Steve, and the team, with my support, we will keep up Mike's legacy.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, so let's move on. And the next order of business is approval of new general manager. And so I will ask Mike, can you come on up here, please? Sit down? Thanks. My glasses are just fogging up today. In our packets, we have a letter that's going to the Assistant Commissioner, Office of Water Quality, Indiana Department of Environmental Management, and it just discusses what how the changes are going to be in our sanitary district if we approve Mr. Milatovich. So I want to open it up for discussion for the board and enter his name ask for a motion to approve him as the new general manager, and then go from there. Holt, are you on? Holt's not on. So, can I get a motion to approve Mr. Milatovich as our general manager?
Yeah, Mike, I'll first say I first met you probably 7-8 years ago when I was working for a consultant. You came in and you gave us a couple other staff members a full trip around the wastewater plant, and I appreciated that. You seemed like you knew everything that was going on at that time. Every aspect you pointed out where, oh, we did this work such and such a date, we did this and this. So, no, I appreciate all the things you've done and here and helped with Mike to bring this sanitary district back yet to the premier sanitary district in the state. So, that being said, I would like to nominate you as the new general manager of the sanitary district.
Thank you, sir.
Can I get a second on that?
So this is Jeff Wright, and I will make the second, but once we do the vote, I do have a question, like a process question.
Okay.
About the letter.
All right. So we have a motion and a second on the table to have Mike Milatovich as our new general manager of the Michigan City Sanitary District. So,
Mr. President, can
Yes.
you just make sure that it's effective at 12 a.m. on January 30th?
effective 12 a.m. on January 30th. So I'm going to roll call Tim Warner,
Aye.
Jeffrey Wright,
Aye.
Tim Smith, aye. Holt, Ettinger.
Aye.
Great, thank you, Holt.
No.
Frank, are you on? Okay. All right, so motion passes. Mike, we want to welcome you as the new general manager, and we know you'll do a great job, and the board is here to support you like we did Mike. So please come to us with any concerns or anything like that, and let us help you in any way we can.
And good luck filling those big shoes left behind.
Yes.
Good Lord.
So,
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Mike, do you want to say anything at all?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Good luck.
I will do my best.
Hey, Mike, same for me.
Yes, sir. To live up to maintaining the legacy that Michael is leaving. It saddens me that he's leaving, but as the mayor said, for a greater opportunity. I also want to say that I was here during the turmoil, and when when Michael came in, and shortly thereafter we had the big event of a sustained storm that exposed some of the trash at Carwick, and the intensity and sense of urgency that Michael brought to bear in addressing that will never leave me, because it was mobilization of epic proportions, really, to get not only the staff but the glacial stone and the dawn to dusk, literally, work with under leadership skills that Michael was there from the beginning to end, to exhaustion, and the fact that the now retired and I have to be forgiven for not thinking of the name right now, of the DNR that said
Brian Barrett.
Yes, that said there was a remarkable feat, that he has never seen such rapid response, and with naturally all the appropriate accommodation with the glacial stone and everything being handled just according to the book. So I think the one other word that I would mention that in recent communication with the former president, Michael Gonder, that he mentioned that I think is appropriate is not only the sense of urgency, the intellect, but also the passion that Michael has brought to the job, that I think collectively we'll do our best to have some representation of that in our continued efforts to keep the environment clean.
Thank you, Miller. And for those of you on the board that don't know, I've known Mr. Miladovich for a long time, okay? And we've spent time together in different, realms, working and on a personal level sometimes also. And he's a very good man. He cares about clean water and the environment as much as anybody does, okay? So you don't have to worry about that, and he will get the job done. I'm very confident of that. And he also knows how to get a hold of me if he ever has any questions or concerns. And in fact, when he was he was interim general manager actually before I got here, after the criminal investigation, and he used to call me quite often when I worked for the state, and I used to help him. I used to help him a lot with how to get through certain reporting situations and things like that. And so I'm sure he'll reach out to me or whoever he needs to, but he'll be in very capable hands. And with Mr. Stanford and Mr. Vansickle back there, they're not the only three, don't get me wrong, okay? They're not the only three. We got some good engineers that we work in here now. That's another thing we did. We brought some engineers in, so we're in pretty good shape here at the district, and I'm sure this will be a smooth transition, and things will go smoothly for the Michigan City Sanitary District.
Okay.
You're going to do a great job, Mike. I got confidence in you. I really do. The utmost confidence.
That means a lot. Thank you very much.
Very welcome, sir.
Yep. All right.
And thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
This letter that's in your packet is really, technically, we really didn't need to send it because the way we wrote it before in 2012, I think it was, that, did you wanted to say something, Johnny, or what? You leaving?
Yes, I have to leave, but I was going to say that since I've been here so long, you've done a hell of a job. You had a mess. And it's been a pleasure working with you. As I said the other day, finally got you trained.
Yeah, you did. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure working with you. Michigan City is going to miss you. This gentleman, I'm sure, can take over, but he's going to need some help from all of us.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. Good night.
This letter is, in a sense, may not be really necessary because we sent a similar letter in 2012, and basically it provides the board, the reports that we send into the state to the federal government have to be signed by the executive officer, okay, which is you, the board president, okay? Or you can authorize someone else to do that work for you, which is sometimes, when I used to work for the state, I used to actually worry about that sometimes because especially at some of the smaller plants, they would be authorizing the guy to do the reports and no one was really ever looking at them, okay? Well, at this sanitary district, we've got a lot of people here, and of course we've got the best attorney, helping us. So this is what this allows, is for us to sign the reports. If we have to send in a monthly report every month and other reports throughout that we have to send in. So it's just really an update to that. And it just changes the general manager to Mr. Miladovich, and then it also says that Mr. Steven Stanford can also sign those reports in case Mr. Miladovich would be unavailable. And then so our monthly reports have to be signed by the certified operator, which is currently Mr. Miladovich of record. He may want to change that to one of the other Class 4 operators, and then the authorized representative for the president of our board, which is, if you sign this letter, is Mr. Miladovich. So that's the purpose of this letter. So, Mr. Meyer, do we have to have a vote on that, or?
Yes, you should.
Okay.
Okay.
So I guess it would be a motion to approve
Sending this
Mr.
letter.
Smith sending the letter to authorize Mr. Milatovich and Mr. Stanford to be the authorized representatives for the sanitary district going forward.
So I'll ask for that motion to send this letter to the state of Indiana, giving approval to Mr. Sanford and Mr. Milatovich to sign.
There's one more on here that says the superintendent.
Yeah.
J.B. Gifford.
No, it says the
No.
superintendent position is unoccupied. It's currently
Yeah.
unoccupied. So yes, the
Yeah.
superintendent position also.
Yeah,
So the superintendent would
yeah.
Also
sign
have the
as well.
same authority, yeah.
So the process questions would,
Yes.
are, so like, when you go to sign the document, we would know that it's thoroughly vetted to be sent. And if Steve was to sign it, we know that it would be thoroughly vetted, right, all the way down. I don't know how far down the ladder, is it just those 3 positions that are available?
Mm-hmm.
And so you guys would be comfortable if the plant superintendent signs off on any of the reports or anything.
And the way it's worded, and what it said before in 2012, we didn't have the operations manager position at that time. So it said the general manager or the superintendent at the time, which was a lot of it. And the point there is that under normal circumstances, the general manager would sign the reports, okay? But if he was unavailable due to, sick or something like that, or just, these reports have to be sent in by the 28th day of the month, for instance, monthly reports, okay? And, we don't always get our lab work. We have our own lab, but sometimes we have metals testing and stuff, so we only have a few days, more than a few days, maybe 5 to 10 days to put that report together. If this person, Mr. Milatovich, in this case, would happen to be, in the hospital or unavailable, for whatever reason, then you still got to send the report in. If you don't get the report in, that's a violation if you don't get it in on time. So that just gives a couple other people the opportunity to fill it in. It's not like they're going to be going behind somebody's back sending a report in. And frankly, if they did, that would be grounds for probably dismissal, certainly disciplinary action for sure.
Okay.
So
It was just a process
it's just
question.
I just thought it would be good to have, I thought Mr. Meyer, a formality of updating the names for the state of Indiana since they're just changed. That's about it, really.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to approve the letter be
Okay.
sent and signed by
All right.
Mr. Smith.
Second?
I will second.
This is Holt, I'll second it.
Thanks, Holt. Let's go ahead and take the vote. Tim Warner?
Aye.
Jeffrey Wright?
Aye.
Tim Smith? Aye. Holt Edinger?
Aye.
Thank you, Holt. All right. Scott Kistler,
Good evening.
another hockey fan.
Yes.
This is the copy for,
That's the official copy?
I guess.
Unless you got one other one you want to
That's
say.
great.
No, I
I
had
just
it.
figured
Yeah,
it was in the packet.
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
Okay, I'll try to keep this brief. I'll start by reading the cash balances as of December 31st, 2021. The operating fund had $1,300,063.87. The municipal account had no balance. The improvement fund had $939,892.26. Vehicle replacement had $74,464.04. The equipment replacement fund had $694,072.31. The grant fund had no balance, for a total in that bank account of $3,008,492.48. The Indian Springs project and the Whippoorwill project, they had no balances. The SRF debt reserve account had $499,646.84, and the bond and interest account had $210,308.42, for a total at BNY Mellon of $709,955.26. Stormwater had $700,113.84. The refuse municipal account had no balance. The refuse account had $1,601,087.98. The special revenue account had $2,997.41.
and the levy excess had $8,522.14. The tax levy grant fund had $137,726.54. The rainy day fund had no balance, for a total in that bank account of $2,450,447.91. That's subtotal before the Carwick remediation account was $6,168,895.65. The Carwick remediation account had $243,710.96 for total cash balances of $6,412,606.61. So just a few comments on it. The Volkswagen Trust, we bought those 3 trucks last year. We got the $140,000 in January, so it doesn't appear here. The others are, and then we got the fall tax settlements for both stormwater and the refuse department. We got that in December. And the rest are the normal monthly transfers. And I highlighted just the total, like of all the operating accounts, we're basically at the same point we were last year. I mean, it's $23 different. On the tax levy funds, we're actually $497,000 better. And that's, the first half spending on refuse, like the labor cost, were less. And on stormwater, it was less. We just didn't do the projects because of COVID. So a lot of stormwater projects, you know, we just
Still
didn't.
sitting there waiting.
Yeah, it just said, and we did encumber the funds to do the Boyd Circle project, $95,000. So that was in the 2021 budget. So we can now spend it in 2022. So we got that done like December 29th. So that's pretty much that. If anybody has any questions?
Holt, do you have any questions on the cash balances?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay. Any questions from either of you two?
No. White Ditch was encumbered as well?
White Ditch, we're encumbering it now.
You're in the process.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's going to be, it's coming out of the grant fund, so it's not actually coming out of the stormwater fund. So we can encumber it in 2022. And that's what they want to see. They want us to issue a PO for that project.
It's on the agenda later.
Yeah, later.
Talk about
So.
it. It's actually not on the agenda, but it's going to be on the agenda because I hand wrote it on there.
Okay. Okay. All right. The next page, what I did was the 3 main funds. I summarized the next, the budget performance reports, and I just did it on 1 page. And what this does is the revenue, and then the 4 major classes of expenses, and then how we fared compared to the budget. And as you can see, the operating fund, we actually ended up $1.4 million better than budget.
How about that, huh?
Yeah.
And
That's pretty darn good.
Yeah, well, a lot of that again.
Oh, come on, Gilsey, don't run around.
Yeah, come on, you're going
Bring it up at the next meeting.
Yeah, you're going away. No, under Mr. Cuss's direction, we were able to control. But seriously, again, with the COVID thing, a lot of the projects, we just weren't able to do as much as we usually do. So like professional services, legal and engineering, where we, and other professional services, but that spending was down. And also you might ask, why is, you got saved at 1.4 million, why didn't cash go up by the same amount? Well, the operating fund is what's called a proprietary fund. So we have receivables, and we also have, we've been paying for the Long Beach project, and we're going to get reimbursed. So and I haven't been putting that through as an expense. I've been putting it on the balance sheet.
Okay.
And then we also had capital spending for the trucks we bought. So that's why there's that kind of discrepancy. And it's on that fund is on what's called a modified accrual basis. So anyways, I hope that helps. And then the next two, the refuse and stormwater, they're actually general or tax levy funds, and they're on a cash basis. So that's why you see their cash kind of lines up a little bit better with them.
Okay.
And once again, the very first line between refuse and stormwater is the revenue. And you can see that the revenue for the refuse was favorable and the revenue for the stormwater was unfavorable. And that's because we get something called a local option tax, and you can either put in one or the other. And this year I put more in refuse because I was kind of worried the first half, but as you can see, I shouldn't have been worried, you know.
Yeah.
But so I moved some to refuse out of stormwater. That's why those two. But the rest, you can see, we were favorable on all the expense items.
Okay.
So.
Thank you, Scott.
And then all the
Can I
detail.
just make a comment though about what
Yeah.
you were saying about the projects?
Yeah.
He's relating it to COVID, but I argue that a little bit with him, but the thing is that in the previous few years, we had a lot going on here.
Yeah, we did.
And we had gotten in that cycle where we did the agreed order and we had all those projects, and then there was still a lot of other things that needed to get done, and we were doing those projects. And I remember, you know, even in 2020 even, you know, he was saying, man, this is getting kind of tight. I was getting concerned. So we kind of tried to get those projects done and try to maybe build up our reserves just a little bit more so that there's more to go forward. And sometimes in this business, you know, we just had, a Washington Street repair over $100,000. You know, we didn't even, you know, it's not like we're sitting there saying, oh, but it'd be nice to fix up that sewer. It's like, boom, it breaks, we have to go fix it. And we had one, at one part in time, I think it was Thurman Street, I think it ended up being like 400 grand. It was just an emergency repair, and every time we kept going, and then we had the whole street tore up, so we just redid the whole street and put it back, you know, the way a street should be built, with new curb and everything, instead of just paving one little spot of the street. So sometimes those projects get ahead of you, and then that's the beauty of the way that Scott has helped me manage the finances here, and is that, you know, we've got our eye to the future, and that's something that Miller and Scott, you're gonna have a good man here to work with. He's gonna be on top of this stuff, and you know, there's also some of the things, you know, I was kidding around with Kevin about, you know, not spending the money on the sand filter building and different things like that. I just believe that, you know, there's a lot that can be done if you maintain your stuff and it still works. Why get rid of it if it still works, you know? So, but I just wanted to make that point.
Oh, no, that's fair, because I was trying to put together a list of all the projects over the last 10 years, and I didn't get it done. It's amazing the amount of stuff that's been done over Mr. Cuss's tenure. So, I mean, we're talking 15 million, 20 million. Yeah, so, and then the other thing, all the detail behind that page, that's the next three. I just tried to summarize it for you.
I like that summary.
Yeah, if it's not too much, you could do that.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah,
The stormwater one only changes like June and December, just so you know, but one thing on the stormwater one, if you go to the second page of that, I believe, under the repair and maintenance, you'll see on the sewer drains, there's 95,000 encumbered. It's on page 2 of the stormwater, 8201. And that 95,200 under, looks like the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th column, year-to-date encumbered, that's the void circle.
Okay.
So it's been encumbered in last year.
And I was just gonna say, if you do some more of these stormwater projects, a few more of them, then it may change more often than just twice a year, you know?
Right. The stormwater projects
We do
would
some
change.
projects, we really have been holding off on any stormwater project because we thought we were gonna try to save the money up, that $178,000 quote that we got for, or bid that we received for dredging that portion of White Ditch over there by Fire Road. And I know even a lot of the engineers were complaining, you know, can we get some of this stuff done? Can we get some of this stuff done? And I just kept saying, you know, we really need to get this one project done. But now with the grant money that we've received, that opens up us an opportunity to do some more money.
And we've been able to put money in the grant fund to take care of it. One last thing, earlier in the meeting, someone brought up Charlie Keenan, the insurance. He asked me to ask you if it would be okay if I work with him and present for him in February, because he may not be able to be here.
Sure.
But I'll work with him, and he'll give me all the usual documents. He has put it out to bid. He's asked for quotes.
Okay.
So I've been talking with him, but he just asked if you guys would be okay with me presenting for him. So.
Yeah, if we have any questions, we can,
Yeah.
Because usually what we with that, and I ask Charlie to do that, is give us a month or two to approve it. Don't just come in here
Right,
and
that's
approve
why I
it.
wanted to do it in February.
Yeah, because if we have questions, I want to be able to have some time to come back and ask him questions about it.
And we'll have time.
Okay. All right, great.
All right, and that's it. And finally, I just want to thank Mr. Cuss.
I'm gonna miss you, man.
And I'm gonna miss you. You gave me an opportunity when I really needed it, so.
I've told the story several times that I put out an ad for a financial manager, we put it in the paper, and it wasn't like 2 days, maybe a day after it was in the paper. Some guy comes to the front door with a Hawaiian shirt on and flip-flops and shorts, He's like,
That would be you.
He says, I was wondering if you have an application for that financial manager position. I'm thinking, okay, he's gonna take it home to his wife or his father or his son, something like that. So for those of you that don't know me, I like to talk to people, okay? So I'm like, hey, here's the application, what's it do? So he starts telling me he's a financial guy, And I'm like, okay, and asked him a few questions. He seemed to know what he's talking about, but he left, and I'm thinking, yeah, right, and he comes back in, and then when he came in for an interview, we actually had Damon Suplos, who works for Sender and Associates.
There was like 8 people.
Yeah, he was in on the
interview.
interview, and I remember, he pulled me off to the side. He's like, this guy knows what he's talking about. So, and of course, he had the accounting background, and actually was a certified CPA and stuff like that. So he's
Don't forget the MBA.
and the NBA, yes. And he was a wide receiver. He played football, and he's halfway decent at Jeopardy, although he doesn't always get the final.
I got it last night.
Some people.
He makes ships in a bottle and.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. No, that would not be me.
Anyways, he's really appreciated.
Thank you, though.
I've enjoyed that.
That was a good one.
But thank you very
I'm
much.
gonna miss you, man.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, Scott.
Okay,
thanks.
so can I just go on, or do you want to?
No,
You want to order me what to do?
no, I'm going to give you the
All
floor.
right. Let's try to get through this the quick as we can, but there are some things I'd like to talk about.
All right.
The next thing is that, as you know, we received these quotes for, these bids, for these 2 refuse side loader trucks. At first, we were getting some pushback that, we really were going to use these. Mr. Stanford went over and met with the refuse department and also talked with Jimmy Michaels, who's been helping us in that area. And we really feel we could possibly use 2 of these. Here's the deal. This is something I really want everyone to understand, okay? That we're really not sure how well they're going to work in Michigan City. Michigan City, and I'll talk about this later if you give me the opportunity, there's a lot of special pickups, a lot of curbside couches, desk drawers, toilets, TVs, stuff like that needs to get picked up, which you can't pick up with these automatic loaders. The salesmen say, well, you send that out and then you just come back around with another truck and pick up the other stuff, which, yeah, exactly. So the other thing is, we tried using these, we've had demonstrations with them, and I've told the guys over and over, you can't use them in the alleys. We got one that's designed for alleys, okay? Well, okay, come on out and demonstrate it. I'm not lying, total truth. The guy put the arm through some guy's garage, okay? Literally through. Of course, they had to pay for the repair. So, but here's what we really believe. We really believe that we have.
Don't come back.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think we want that. We believe we have 2 routes, possibly 2 routes every day, where the different areas, like some of the areas of the city are a little more newer, suburban type homes and areas, what am I trying to think? Subdivisions is what I was trying to say, where these might be viable to use. So we would like to get the board approval to send this memorandum that is in front of you in your packet to Mayor Perry to get his blessing for us to reach out to the city council. We have to find a sponsor to have the riverboat money used to purchase 2 of these trucks. And then what I was trying to make sure that everyone understands is we get these trucks and we try them out. Okay, if they work, they'll really save, I think, the city some money, because 1 man can run the route instead of 3, and we're really having trouble finding guys, and especially in the summertime. You know, we have a lot of vacancies, and we're pulling guys from other departments to come out there. So that's what the memo's about, and I'd like to ask the board approval to send this memo to Mayor Perry.
I have a question, Mike. Are we still going to try to look at the body configuration 2 in the not too distant future, where you have the rear load capability as well?
Okay, Steve.
I know none of them bid on it, but
Steve could chime in, but it just doesn't really seem like they're really a viable option. Steve, you probably have some more detail.
Well, you know, at this point, I would just like to add that, speaking with the refuse drivers, primarily and the assistant superintendent over there, are really interested in getting some conventional rear loaders, a couple new ones like that. We've got one in the shop right now that's been out of service for a long time, and it's going to help get our fleet back up to strength. But right now, our guys are mostly interested in getting the same kind of trucks they have now.
But we couldn't find anybody that had the body type 2 that was going to work, and I know we've talked about this, and that's why we have this memo in front of you, that, you know, we'd like to try these and see how they work. If they work well, it'll be good for the city, and if they don't work well, then, you know, we might have to find someone that would want to, you know,
buy a used one
and that, and so.
Any other discussion?
I would just weigh in. I would like to see us get something like this. I think it goes, I think a trial period to use them is great. The things that catch my eye, not so much the reduced crew, reduced injuries. That's my deal.
Took the word right out of my mouth.
That's my deal.
Safety.
If we can get, you know, if we got 1 guy on the route, we don't got 3, that's 2 more opportunities where somebody's not getting hurt.
Plus, this is, you don't even get out of the truck. You're not grabbing anything, and it's all mechanical.
So I'd like to see us, you know, do everything we can, as long as it's comfortable for, you know, if our guys can't work with them, they don't do us any good.
No, we're never going to know until we get some.
Yeah, so I'm with that 100%.
So this vehicle must be pretty similar to what the recycling uses now.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, I'd like to entertain a motion to send this letter to the mayor.
Motion to send the letter to the mayor.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Tim Warner?
Aye.
Jeffrey Wright?
Aye.
Tim Smith? Aye. Holt?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Keep going, Michael.
All right, the next thing in your packet is the annual US EPA 503 report. Every year with our land application of our biosolids for beneficial reuse, we're required to put this report together. I usually bring the entire report so that I could show you how thick the entire report is, but it's about this thick as far as about your whole board packet. I didn't want to put all that in there for you because it's just too much information. But basically, it talks about the summary of what we have to do on page, starts on page 2. In 2001, the district land applied 676 tons of biosolids. The biosolids were land applied for beneficial reuse in January, April, and November. The next thing we have to do is we have to show exactly how we treat the sludge. That's on the graph. We have to meet the metals. I'm on page, I'm just going to skim through some of this stuff. On page 5, this is always important. There are maximum levels that you can put for metals concentration that you're allowed to land apply, okay? The first column in the gray is the maximum that you could put on at any time, okay? And the limit for arsenic, for instance, is 75 milligrams per kilogram. The maximum we had was 23. Cadmium is 85, we had 3.5. Copper, you're allowed 4,300, we had 720. So I wanted to show you how far below the limits that we are. And then there's a monthly average component also. This report's a little tricky to do because we only have to monitor 4 times a year, once a quarter. But if you monitor more than once in a month, which we do sometimes, then you have to compute the monthly average and report that as a monthly average, even though you're only required to sample once a quarter. I know you're looking at me like, oh, what does that mean? But trust me,
No, I was just, actually, that's one of my questions was,
So-
do we test for these? And you
Yeah.
just answered that
Yes,
question.
we tested more than, it's somewhere in here, I wrote it, I think we tested, I want to say 11 or 12 times last year. So that's why you have a little bit of different number there for zinc, but you can see how far below the limits we are. And then the last gray column, this is a lifetime accumulative load that you're allowed to put on, lifetime on the field. And as you can see, again, let's talk about arsenic, you're allowed 41 kilograms per hectare. We're at 0.152. That was the maximum on the field that of the fields we put on last year. And you can just see how far below we are, below the limits we are. Copper, 1,500, and we're at 5.4. So that just shows you that this program does good in respect to that. Pathogen reduction, we're required to keep the we have to reduce the pathogens. There's different ways to do it. One way is you can do the testing, but it's easier for us to do this process control. And we need to keep the mean cell residence time in our digesters greater than 15 days and at a temperature greater than 95 degrees. And in 2021, our mean cell residence time was 21 days and our mean temperature was 97 degrees Fahrenheit. This is something for somebody to put in their memory bank, is that when I first started here, there was a lot of talk about our digesters were limiting the treatment capacity of this wastewater treatment plant. And Mr. Jim Maurer, who we all respect and built this plant, he could never understand what we were talking about. And in fact, he put a whole report together and it showed that we had ample digestion capacity. Sometimes we have some problems with our vector reduction, which I'll talk about in a minute. It turns out, and I finally just determined this, I might have mentioned this when I did the digester study, it turns out that we have 2 what are called overflow points on the digesters. One's called the low water level overflow and the other one's called the high water level overflow. Of course, the word water is used, but it's really sludge, okay? And it turns out that the Sanitary District operates both of our digesters, Digester 1 and Digester 2, at the low water level overflow. And it's about 22% less capacity than if we operated it at the high level overflow. So if you ever get in a situation where you're, excuse me, my throat's dry, where you feel like the digestion capacity is not working, you could go move it up to that high water level overflow and you'll get 22% more capacity. Thank you, sir. And but in order to do that, there's going to have to be some, not necessarily piping modifications, but what it is, you have to have a vent. And they've taken the vent pipes off the top of these digesters, and they need to be put back on because they raise up like another 4 feet or something, so that when you're pushing the sludge into the digester, it doesn't spill off the top. But sorry, I'm probably going on too much. But it's just one of those things I'm sitting here wondering. But yeah, I hope nobody forgets that. Okay?
Mike, quick question.
So noted.
Yeah, thank you.
The land application logs have a MAL 28HF, MAL 180, and GR 160. Are those different fields? The
Yes,
molecular
sir.
farm? Okay.
Yes,
That's
sir.
kind of what I thought, but I wasn't sure. I didn't see it anywhere where it referenced.
MAL 28HF stands for the Malecki Farm. It's approximately 28 acres, and it's their
I figured that was
home
acres.
farm front, okay?
The other one is their 180 acre holding, and then the other.
Right, and then the other one, the GR, that stands for Goat Ranch.
Okay.
That's what they call that field.
Okay.
Goat Ranch, so.
Okay, I assume that's what it was, but I didn't see that
Yes.
anywhere in there. Maybe I missed it.
And then I'm back on page 6, vector attraction. We are required to have a 38% reduction in our volatile solids. That's what the digesters do. They take your volatile solids and they chew them up, and just like your stomach does, okay? Thank you so much, sir. And they...
Thanks, Dan.
And
The safety guy giving us water.
Well, you know,
Great assistance from the accounting.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but notice the accounting just gave us 1 bottle.
That's all we can afford.
so we have to have a 38% reduction. The digesters work just like your stomach works. It takes the food, it eats it up, produces gas, and reduces the volume down. That's what it does. And in order to be in compliance with that, we have to have a 38% reduction. And sometimes that's the one we get in a little more trouble with, more than the MCRT when we're pushing the solids through, especially in the spring.
Yeah.
A lot of times we have to build our solids up in the plant in the winter because you don't want to lose your ammonia treatment. And if you have thin solids, you could lose it. And once you lose your ammonia treatment, it ain't coming back until it gets warm. And then in the spring, we start wasting sludge more to bring the solids down. And then sometimes we get in a little trouble with that part. But we were fine last year. We had a 45% reduction. And then the rest of this is just your attachments, some of the attachments that go with it. So I don't know if there's any other questions on that. This report is due.
Does the plant separate out these, like the metals? Or does it just, that's just something that comes along for the ride?
It comes into the plant. No, we reduce them a lot in our Influent, from our Influent to our Effluent. Yeah. Oh yeah, they're reduced a lot. In fact,
where do they go? I mean,
they go into the sludge.
Yeah, that gets applied to the
so they
farm
get
field.
into the sludge, and then that gets out to the, it goes out to the, okay.
Well, if I may interject, we
Yeah.
also have a pre-treatment program. to
Right.
Control the material coming in, so that we don't get an excessive amount of metals.
I see. Is there a relationship between the gallons of Influent versus the amount of sludge that we produce?
There is, to an extent, sure. What the thing is the sludge is more dependent upon the mass that's coming in. And typically in Michigan City, when we get the higher flows, it's typically more extraneously clear water, especially long term. And you get a heavy flush of solids in the first part of the storm event. Most of that is your innocuous solids, and yeah, that's going to increase your sludge, okay? But we get a lot of clear water from the sump pumps and different things like that, and just groundwater, leaking in, infiltration. So the loading, the pounds of pollution coming in isn't always that much greater, but the volume's greater. But there's a correlation for sure. But we average, this year was a little lower, but if you look at the data, it's almost right on the money, about 800 dry tons a year. This year was a little lower because we actually had, the year before we were really backed up because in the year before that, it was really wet and they couldn't apply in the spring, and then the fall, they were doing harvesting. So last year we caught up, so this year is why we had a little less. When I talk about production, it might be a little confusing, Jeff, especially you being an engineer. I don't consider it produced until we put it out on the field. Okay, if you're looking at the plant, it's produced, once it comes off the belt press, it's produced. But for purposes of this report, I don't consider it produced until we put it on the field.
I see.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. The next thing I had is not a handout. I just wanted to tell you that at the December meeting, you approved those a couple more minor changes to the handbook, and I was able to get the handbooks all updated, and I printed out 100 copies of the handbook, and I bounded, 7 or 8 of them myself, and then we gave the rest of them to Miss Rachel McCline, who bound the rest of them, and we've distributed them to all the employees at the sanitary district so far. There's a couple that are off for health reasons aren't here, but we'll get theirs. And then we're having everyone sign the acknowledgement page. All the acknowledgement page says is that you were given the book and that you'll read it and become familiar with it. You're not saying that you understand it or that you abide. Obviously you have to abide by the handbook, but for the most part we've been getting those back pretty good. And we hope to have, I really asked everyone to have them back to me by tomorrow. I'd like to be able to leave with that. I know we won't get them, a couple guys are on sick leave, so it might be Monday next week. But other than that, we should have them all back. And then update on the job descriptions. I was looking at that this afternoon. We've updated almost all the job descriptions. I think there's a couple positions where either the job description is really outdated or, for instance, one of the jobs I know we don't have a job description for is the superintendent of the refuse department. I mean, some of this is kind of odd when you think about it. How long have we had a refuse department before I got here? And you had a superintendent for all these years, and there's never been a job description for the superintendent of the refuse department. Okay, right now that position is vacant, and it has been vacant since Mr. Kinsel retired, because first, frankly, we can't afford the position. I know we had these gentlemen in here talking to us today about their salaries, and the refuse department was in a really, really bad shape, but a couple of years ago, when all that tax stuff happened, and we were able to really turn it around by managing the funds. Right. And one of the ways we've been able to do it, Guy comes in here and says that he feels he should be making more money, and I don't disagree with him. You know, it'd be nice if everyone was making more money. One of the things is, some of these guys have jobs because we haven't hired a superintendent, and we've just been trying to I've been, managing it. Jimmy Michaels has been helping me out, and of course the foreman over there. So, but we've got those that are all pretty much updated. What I'm going to do, I hope before I leave, is to print them all off and put them in a binder so they're all updated, and then they'll be there for Mr. Belatovich and Mr. Stanford. Okay? So then the next thing is the update of the projects. Jeff, I don't want to outdo my last presentation that you keep complimenting me on, but this is the next version, okay? I hope that you actually take some time to look this over. This is a management of change report that talks all about the actuators, how we installed them, and what they do. The first part is an overview of why we did it, and that was some of my presentation that I had before about why we're doing it with the controls. And then the equipment installed, that's on the second page. That's the next part of it. And then the actuator programming. As I explained, the valves minimum opening is 6% open. I'm on page 3. The maximum opening is 100%. Every 4 minutes, the program calculates the average DO in the 6 tanks, using the individual DO in each tank. If the dissolved oxygen is within 0.02 milligrams per liter, there's no change. If it's greater than 0.2 milligrams per liter, it adjusts the valve opening down by 2%, and if it's less than 0.2 milligrams per liter from the average, it opens it 2%. And it has worked great. You saw the graphs, how every tank almost mirrors each other. It's still been working really well. And then the control wiring, it just explains how we did the control wiring. But here's some photos. Maybe you guys might want to look at the photos. This is going from the PLC unit itself back to the valve. So the first picture is the actual cabinet that holds the PLC units, and then the next picture on page 6 is the actual cards we installed. And we had to install this new row of cards down here and this Ethernet adapter to talk to the main PLC, because this particular unit can only handle up to, I think it was 6 additional cards. And then this is the wiring. You can see how we labeled every single wire.
That's amazing.
With
Mike, I went through this yesterday, and I just wanted to try to find something that's a great report, and the only question I had, after I went through everything, is like, photo 22, you talked about the labels. Are those labels printed plastic numbers, or is it paper? I just wondering, because it's a wet environment, sometimes moist, that those labels, photo 22 or 21 on 15.
Oh, photo 21.
Photo 21, yeah. It's just a close-up of all the labels. Are those labels plastic?
Those labels that you're looking at on photo 21
yeah,
are actually, those are actually, yeah, they're kind of plastic, but they're not really plastic. I don't know. They're like
maybe
vinyl, I think.
Plastic coated or something.
Yeah, and they stick together.
I just wondered how.
Now the ones
paper,
on
if they last.
No, they'll last. And then the other ones on page 5 and photo 5. Those are actually shrink wrap labels, and they slide over the wire. They have like a hole in them, and they're hollow, and they slide over the wire, and then you just take like a little heat gun on them, and they shrink wrap on or shrink on. Okay, so that's the wiring. You can see the piping for the controls. One of the hardest things we had to do is on photo 8 on page 8 was to get this pipe underneath these stairs.
I saw that.
Oh my Lord, was that hard. We were like, oh, we'll just put it underneath the stairs. And we tried and tried and tried. And actually Terry Barloff, me and Jimmy Michaels were trying to work on it. And then also Terry Barloff came over, and he had some like little grinder wheel, and he got down there, and we were finally able to get through there. That was not easy. And then we got the hole through the cement wall there by the door, which that wasn't very hard at all. And then you can see how we ran the wire. We came up through the ground there on page 13. And then you've got these control boxes and the mishmash of wires in the photo 20 of the control boxes. And we labeled every wire so that people could see where they go down the road. And now that's the close-up there, photo 21. And then the actuators themselves are photos 22 and 23. Couple different setups there, and then the inside we showed how they're wired, and they're labeled there inside too. So anyways, this report, and then the dissolved oxygen meters are in the last picture, page 27. And then I've got this performance review. which also has some of those graphs in there that we had before. But overall, the project cost us $117,948 to put this project in-house. We did it in-house, so you can only imagine how much it would have cost if we would have contracted it out and had it engineered and everything. Probably at least double, maybe triple. And with the savings that we're receiving now, and this, when I did this report, $18,000 a year, it's got about a 6.3-year payback on that. So, and like I try to always remind everybody, money's money, don't get me wrong, you know, we talk about money, you gotta have the money, but it's good for the environment, that's the key, you know, it's using less energy and less pollution. And then also just, I got all the wiring in here, every wire, this is a layout map of it, every wire labeled where it goes, and then this last part of it is the actual program itself. And I have also saved the program on the shared drive and on another computer and on my computer, so they should be able to get to that, and this will help them out down the road if they ever have any questions. So this is actually something that our engineer who used to work there, Ryan Byers, he was really big. He said we're running this place like a bunch of cowboys, okay? Thanks for the compliments, but he said you guys aren't tracking what you're doing when you change stuff, so he suggested we do these management and change reports. So I don't know, we've got a dozen of them or so now, and they're all in the file. Okay. Biosolid study, we did get the draft report, we have reviewed it, but we have not gotten any comments back to Woodard and Curran. The problem, I shouldn't say the problem, I think the report, Steve looked at it closer than me, I think the report itself is actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. They just misstate the actual revenue we get for the biosolid.
Okay, yeah, so we just need to get that fixed. But the thing is that we thought, I didn't think it was going to be this expensive to put a dryer in, and what was the cost of that, like a couple $1 million?
It was, yeah, like $3 million plus.
Yeah, to put a dryer in, and so, you know, again, cost effectiveness, I don't know how cost effective that's really going to be under the circumstances we're doing now. However, if you put the dryer in, you'd make these little pellets, you know, and you could market those pellets. I mean, seriously, I mean, Chicago markets them, you know, put them in bags, you could be selling them at, you know, at the stores, you know, for people to use around their houses and stuff. If they got a dryer, that makes our sludge a Class A sludge. That kills all the pathogens completely. And you could market it and sell it like that. So,
Yeah,
you know,
Milwaukee's been doing it for decades.
You're right.
Organite,
yeah, they've been doing it for decades. Yes, you're right. So we could come up with something. We could call it the lighthouse sludge or something. What do you think? The lighthouse, something. You got to think of something like.
Something catchy.
Yeah. And if you wanted to do that, then you would be looking at what a revenue stream would be there, and then you'd have to look at your payback. And it will use some energy because you'll be heating up the dryer, although our digesters do produce gas that could possibly be used in the dryer to do the heating. So, okay. Cheney Run project, there's really no progress there. It's just the outfall structure is going to need some more rehabilitation work. And then the Carwick, Mr. Stanford, you were talking to me today. Is it okay to move forward with the substantial completion certificate?
Yes.
Okay, so we believe the project is substantially complete, and we have a substantial completion document in front of you. And Mr. Smith, I apologize, but the engineer for Weaver that put this together, he still had Gary Mitchell on there as board president, so we're going to just put a line through your name if you approve it and write your name in.
Well, through Gary's name.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, through Gary's name.
I thought you were about ready to tell me something I didn't know.
No. So anyways, I would ask the board to approve substantial completion of the Carwick project, the project that Mike brought up that we started a few years ago.
Yes, sir, yes.
One of these has a bad outfall, right? Either I don't know
The
which
Cheney
one.
Run.
The Cheney Run has the bad
Yeah,
outfall.
that project's already final complete, but the engineer's been working on trying to come up with a fix.
And it's on the opposite side of the creek, Jeff, from this project.
Okay.
This is the project you were walking around that you didn't like the holes that those little holes. that
Yeah,
you
they
found?
hurt.
And we addressed all those.
So one of the, whichever project it was, I mean, is there any kind of a completion thing in here for that? I mean, have we signed off on
We
that?
have not signed off on the Cheney Run.
For the Cheney Run has the outfall problem.
Right, and we've signed off on final completion. That project is done, except for
Okay.
maintenance. But subsequent to signing off on the final completion, it wasn't a construction problem, it was more of a design problem. It was constructed as designed, and
Okay.
it just hasn't held up in some of the heavy rains. And the V3 engineering company has already went out there once on their own dime and done some repairs to it. They're gonna have to come up with something a little bit better, I believe, and so far they've been agreeable to working with us, and I think they will be. And if not, we would have to take some type of legal action against them.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't really paying it. I shouldn't say that. I wasn't paying attention, and
You just had to sign
I
it.
didn't want to sign off on something until, whether it was the contractor or the
No,
designer.
everything's fine with the project, we signed off, that's all final complete. It's just that, it's like anything else, if you get a new car that breaks down, you gotta get it fixed. But in this case, they're still addressing the problem, okay?
And the associated grant for that project has been closed as of the end of last year.
Okay.
So that the grant's finished.
It's really a minor issue too, I mean, the project,
Yeah.
it's working well, we just need to beef up that outfall structure, they need to beef it up for us.
Maybe
Okay.
just bigger glacial rocks.
Right.
I mean, the last photo we saw, the rocks were like all over they were all run down, run out. So I just didn't want to cut, somebody's got to be responsible for it, is where I was at. I mean,
But this is for the Carwick calling it Nature Park now, the former Carwick landfill, that dump site, I shouldn't call it landfill, former Carwick dump site. I would recommend that the board approve substantial completion.
Okay.
It's nearly final complete, we're not gonna recommend final completion though, but it's nearly final complete.
No, the lower bench, we gotta get the vegetative cover.
Okay, so this is substantial completion, and it would be important to approve this so we could start the warranty phase of this project.
okay, so substantial completion, you guys are happy that we're there?
Mhm.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Motion to, more discussion or motion to approve?
Any other discussion?
I'm good with
Okay.
substantial completion.
All right, I'm looking for a motion to approve substantial completion of the Carwick dump site.
Then I'll make the motion to approve substantial completion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that our president scratches out Gary Mitchell and puts his name in and signs the document.
There you go, there you go.
All in favor, Tim Warner?
Aye.
Jeff Wright?
Aye.
Tim Smith, aye. Holt?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion approved.
Okay, and now in your packet, we were going to also ask you to approve final completion of this project, but subsequent to us preparing this document, we've had some more discussions with the engineering firm, and they want us to hold off on the final completion, okay? And then in your packet, there is a draft construction documentation report, and if you have the link to the website, I may have put the whole report in there. I want to say it's 168 pages long. It's got a zillion pictures mostly, but this was the narrative portion of that report. So Jeff, if you have any questions about the Carwick, where we stand, you could read through this report. And then I would assume, I was going to say at the next board meeting will be final completion, but I guess it won't be because you've got to get the rest of that vegetation in and probably be more like spring, huh?
Yeah, it's gotta be spring, March, the first monthly inspection during the growing season.
Okay. So you all have that on your agenda until then. The next thing is the North End study. This is the one where we're doing the modeling of the sewers with the Strand and Associates. The update is we've completed the construction of the collection system model and are approximately halfway completed with the model calibration and validation. We anticipate the model calibration and validation will be completed over the next few weeks. Once they're complete, we will run the various design storms through the model and begin evaluating the system's performance. I anticipate having a mid-project meeting once the model has been completed and validated, and that's a logical check-in point. So I would assume over the next few weeks he'll be having that. And then once this gets done, then we can get this to Haas and Associates and they can finish up the North End study. And again, this is something, I know Mayor Perry's not here, but at the last department head meeting, I brought this up. Wanted everyone in the city to know they were talking about, growth of the city. This is another example where I really commend the board for providing us the approval for these things, not only for the sanitary, for the city of Michigan City. A developer's gonna come in, first thing they're gonna know, where are the sewers? What's the depth of the sewers? What are the inverts? This North End study report is gonna give them all that information.
if they're doing any documents that they submit to us by state statute, they have to.
So the final document would come through Haas.
Yeah, if it's Haas doing it, then that's probably okay, but if there's any documents.
I'm sure
yeah.
these guys haven't. So the question is, these guys are licensed engineers in Illinois, and the question is, do we need an Indiana PE to sign and seal that work product?
He may also be licensed in Indiana too. I'm not really sure if that's a question you would like me to ask
Yeah,
him.
check with them if you would, Mike, and see if maybe Michael has another engineer that works with him is licensed. Anything that they would sign and seal would need to be Indiana PE, not Illinois PE.
Okay, and and the only other thing is I really don't, when you say sign and seal, I don't really know.
Yeah, if there's no documents.
I don't know why it would need to be sealed. It's just gonna be a report and a model, but I don't think it's gonna be like construction documents or anything, so.
Engineers seal and sign reports as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They would need to seal the cover of a report or every page of plans.
Okay, very good.
Statute,
Okay,
then,
very
yeah.
good. And I will definitely ask Mr. Ott that question, and then the final report would be going through Haas and Associates, so maybe that would.
That was the gray area. If
Yeah,
Haas submits it,
right.
they have Indiana seals.
Well,
It's not that we don't like Illinois, but they
No, no, we
should.
I'm licensed in Illinois.
But here's the point, we contracted directly with Strand to provide us this report. We didn't contract with Strand to provide the report to Haas.
Oh, this is coming, then they have to have it.
Yeah.
An Indiana PE.
But it will be put with the Haas final North End study report.
Okay,
I'd be
yeah.
surprised if Strand doesn't have an Indiana.
I know they have Indiana engineers.
I'd be
so
shocked, because
yeah.
they're one of the best
I
in the
mean,
business.
at NDOT, they do work for us with Indiana licenses, so.
There you go.
All right.
Move on?
Yep.
The,
Sorry.
what's wrong?
Sorry.
The Long Beach.
My name's stricken out. You said you guys aren't telling me yet. It really isn't. Go ahead, sorry.
Is it okay if I move on, Mr. Vice President? Since, nobody cares about our president anymore.
There you go.
I didn't even see his name on anything.
I know,
Not
right?
even paying attention anymore.
Long Beach Sewer Project update. Basically, they had this issue with the NIPSCO gas lines or something they need to move. They had a meeting on here, and then on the second page is what I really wanted to point out. I have it highlighted, and it's the project, and it looks like they want to do advertise for bidding is now set for April 1st, 2022.
April Fools.
And then receiving of bids would be April 29th at our board meeting on the 29th. And then awarding the recommendations, they want to try to do that on May 13th, so in May. So the plan right now is to get this project bidded and awarded in May of 2022. That's the time frame, okay?
Has the relocation of the utilities started, do you know?
I don't think so, no.
Okay.
No, but I do know, and I don't know if Johnny's still here, Mr. McCoy, is Johnny Gorsuch still out there? He had indicated to me last week when we talked about this, that NIPSCO was originally saying it was gonna take them this long to do the work, and he said they moved it up, like they may even do the work like in the next month. So
Wow.
it might be a lot better. Okay, where am I? Request for public records. We had a second request now. Remember the first request we had? There was actually two requests, so maybe 1A and 1B. Now we had another request number 2, for more information. I wrote the law firm back and told them that we'll get the information to them as soon as reasonably possible. Steve has gotten most of the hard copy stuff from everybody, and he is working with Mr. Metanik to obtain the emails and so forth, okay? And then we have this item E3, 16E3, is an amendment number 1 to the Haas Professional Service Agreement. They wanted to hire this, what's called a bloodhound. They're a utility company that goes and locates utilities, and they use different things like, I think they use sonar and radar and different things like that. They're pretty good at it. So they wanted to have their professional service agreement modified for a total of $9,150. And we talked with the president of the town of Long Beach, and they thought it was a good idea in Long Beach, so We actually have had this document ready for a while, but I guess we didn't have it on the board agenda. So we need you to approve amendment number 1 to the professional service agreement with Haas and Associates for the bidding and design, bidding and construction services for the Lakeshore Drive Sanitary Sewer in Long Beach, Indiana for the Bloodhound utility location.
I have a question. The amendment talks about Exhibit A and B from Bloodhound for their estimates. Is that total of their estimate of Exhibit A and total of their estimate for Exhibit B combined $9,150?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I didn't put all the exhibits in here, but.
Okay.
And we will be reimbursed for this, like the rest of the cost.
So my question is, I know you talked to the president of Long Beach, things change over there. Do we have anything in writing?
Yeah, I probably have the emails, yeah.
Yeah, okay, can you provide those so we've got them?
We got them for the record,
Okay.
sure.
All right, good.
So I've been keeping my fingers on the tabs of this project, and I guess I don't know the right way to say, but I mean, I would like to know about this kind of stuff before it comes to the board. This is totally like new, and I don't know how we get that conveyed to. Is that just an email to Haas that?
No, it's probably our fault, Jeff. It's probably my fault or more than anybody's. We've actually had this, I would say, for, I want to say, close to 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
And we've already worked with them and we've told them to go ahead and do the work and all that kind of stuff. So,
Okay.
And it's just for whatever reason, we didn't convey it to you. There's a long laundry list of people that are on an email, but I know Haas, sometimes they're not very good at copying everybody, so we need to do a better job of looking at it. And
Yeah.
also Johnny Gorsuch is the project manager, so
Yeah.
if you want me to, I could just have him start forwarding any emails he gets on the
Yeah,
project.
and I mean, maybe, was John aware of this?
Yes, he was,
As well?
yes, yeah.
Okay, then I want to be part of that.
Sure, I'm sorry,
That's all right. Thank you.
but can we get approval of amendment number 1?
Motion to approve amendment number 1?
Is there a second?
I will second amendment number 1 approval.
All in favor, Tim Warner?
Aye.
Jeffrey Wright?
Aye.
Tim Smith, aye. Holt Edinger?
Aye.
Thanks, Holt.
Do you have one of
Motion
these to
passes.
sign?
Yeah, but we don't need anybody here.
Okay, good, okay. All right,
Yeah,
the
we don't
next,
have to cross any names out on that.
yeah, well, if we wait a couple more days for Mr. Miladovich to sign it, if I don't get it done, you can cross my name off. Maybe that'll make you feel better.
Mr. Smith, if it makes you feel better, we'll probably have to cross out Michael Cuss on this one.
Okay.
Strebo Pond restoration update. This is a little bit longer, but they called me and they said they were gonna do some seeding work, and I asked them to push it back a day, so they did. He oversaw the seeding personally. Their plan was to get the seeding down and then get some snow cover over it. That's what they thought, so I'm not gonna read their whole note. That project's moving along really well. These people are top notch, these AES people, they know what they're doing. This Michael Suitzer guy, he's on top of his game. So there's an email there about the project. They reseeded the areas where they had killed the Phragmite with the natural and native grasses.
I'm sure based on whatever the seeds germinate in the spring, they reseed if they don't, correct?
Right, yeah. And then also I started to say something earlier, but you might have saw me look at my phone when we were talking. We talked about the pond, the park bench, and the people text messaged me a picture of the park bench that they were looking at.
Oh, great.
They must have been watching or something, so. Okay, the next thing is these Stubble Pond lights that Mr. Councilman Don Prespolinski has brought up to us on a couple of occasions. You might remember at the last meeting, he said that he had talked with Marquis Electric and they had given him a price on what was gonna cost approximately to put the lights up. And I asked him to tell us what the price was, and he said he wasn't going to do that, and he wanted me to contact him. So I did contact Marquis Electric, and they wouldn't give me a price. They said that if you put the project out to quotes, and if you send us a request for quotes, we'll be glad to provide a quote, but we're not gonna just give you a price unless we're, offered chance to quote like the same time everybody else. So I said, okay. So anyways, I did some research, and this came up with this information that I have highlighted, that on the first page, that a light pole can cost anywhere between $2,000 to $3,000, and the average installation is about $1,000 each. So I don't know how many that they're thinking about putting out there, but if you're talking about 2 on each parking lot, you would be looking at a total of 4, so you'd have about $12,000 in cost for the lights, and about $4,000, so about $16,000, maybe $20,000 to put up the lights. So there's some other stuff that I have highlighted in the packet, but that's, if you use LED lights, your operational costs or your electrical costs are going to be pretty small. I think the crux of the problem, or the crux of the issue here, is that the park is closed after dusk, and I just didn't feel like it would be a good idea to put up lights if the park was closed, because you're just going to attract people to try to come to the park, and pretty soon they're going to want the whole walkway lit up and everything else. But I know Mr. Preslinski is very been bringing this to my attention. Then he also has mentioned several times that Police Chief Dion Campbell has stated that he really would like to have the lights. And I did talk to Mr. Campbell once, soon after the first time Mr. Preslinski was here, and I kind of got the impression from talking to him that he wasn't thinking that he was that interested in the lights, or if it might have had something to do with the fact that I was telling him it was closed. But anyways, if you want to take one of those and pass those on. So today I wrote an email to Mr. Campbell in preparation for this meeting, asking him his thoughts on whether he would like to have lights out there, or if I had the wrong impression. And he basically said that he really wants to have the lights, that he thinks the lights would be a good idea for reducing crime. And he talks about in his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th paragraph down that when you have lights, it can reduce crime by 36% reduction in crime. I don't know that we've really had too much crime out there. I think there's been some minor vandalism of the restroom facilities here and there. But anyways, if the board wants us to move forward with putting out a request for quotes for lights at the Streamboat Pond parking lots, we'll be glad to do that. And if not, I mean, that's what I was bringing to your attention today for discussion. If money's a factor, we can certainly put the quote out, but if it's just a light, you don't want the lighting because it's going to be closed, that might be a different factor. So I guess that's a point for a discussion of the board, or what would you guys like us to do?
Do we pay the light, do we pay does the sanitary district pay the electric fee?
Yes.
For the lights over
Sure.
there?
We would do, yeah, if we put them
We
up.
operate the facility, so.
So everything
We mow it,
associated
take care
with
of it,
the
yes,
facility?
yes,
It's
sir.
all on us.
Yeah.
So if the city put in the lights, then the city would,
It's our facility. I mean, yeah, they could pay for the lights. I mean, we could go to the council and ask the council to pay for putting the lights up. I mean, that's all possible. But at the end of the day, unless we worked out an MOU, I think the sanitary district would be responsible for maintenance and the electric bill on the lights.
I just, the city has thousands of lights, NIPSCO's got them, and they just pay the bill.
Right.
I didn't know if there was a way
Right.
to hang the city with just
Well, the way to
paying
do
for
it,
the
the way to
lights.
do it is to just mix it in on their bill, and they'll never know. And I'm just trying to be funny. I'm just trying to be funny. No, we would have to pay our bill. I mean, we have, what do we have, like 41, 42 electric bills we pay for all the lift stations and lights somewhere else. It might be more than that even, so.
Well, we got like 40 on one bill.
Yeah, oh, that's how it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
But we got 25 roughly.
so it's really just a matter of, opinion. I mean, I've expressed my opinion before. I think I've said it. I'm not trying to be difficult or nothing. If the board wants us to put a request for quotes together, we can definitely do it. It won't be that hard to do. And if not, then leave it at that. So, but it does look like Chief Campbell really thinks their lights would be good out there. But like I keep saying, the place is closed, so I don't know.
Well, overall, a 36% reduction in crime. I guess if there's no crime, if there's no crime,
36% of nothing is nothing.
Yeah.
Right. I guess my issue also is that the people that brought the complaint about to Councilman Prevolinski, they're breaking the law.
Right.
They're, the park is closed at a certain time. So if Chief Campbell came to us and said, look, that, there is crime out there, and we're concerned about the crime, then I would probably be more for something like this. But just to put them out there so people can walk when the park is supposed to be closed, I think that that's an additional danger.
Yep.
Because, that's my opinion about it.
That was what I expressed the first time we discussed this.
Holt, do you have any comments on this?
Just briefly, sorry, it popped me with a pretzel in my mouth.
He's snorkeling.
Bring it up for everybody.
You know what? For crime prevention is much less costly, in my opinion, than every other type of issues that happen with crime. The outcome, the effects of it. So if our police chief and are interested in it, I don't feel completely comfortable with tabling it or moving on beyond it. If we want to table it, think about it some more, I would be in favor of crime prevention. Lighting, we all know it. We don't need the police chief or anybody else to tell us. And if the light's on, okay, it prevents. All right, whether it be timers in houses, or timers on the outside of houses, or properties, or any parking lots. So crime prevention, if our police chief believes that this could, help their force be more effective. And again, I remember, if I remember correctly, the problem out there was there were gunshots. Right? This wasn't soaping a window or breaking a window in our signs, one of our signs, or putting paint on something. We're talking about gunshots that were shells that were actually found.
Yeah, it was shell casings that were found out there when the ladies were walking in the morning.
Thank you for correcting me. Crime prevention does equal life. So I'd be open-minded to vote on it and we can move on. But it is going to be an expense, and certainly a worthwhile discussion we're having. I'm glad we're having it. Really glad. So I know it's the basis of that it's not open. Well, plenty of crime goes on where things are open.
So I'll rely on
it was lit up. It may not ever happen, ever anything. Again, it's 36% or 38 or 32. If we can be involved in that kind of prevention, I would be worth learning more about it. So
I'm going to just say that I rely on, I'm a designer, I'm an engineer, and I have to rely on other experts. Whether it's in an engineering field, I rely on mechanical engineers to do mechanical, electrical to do refractory, to do brick, civils to do civil, and so I hate to punt, but I guess I have to rely on the chief, who's an expert at crime prevention.
Yeah.
And the man says, even if there was just paint and graffiti out there, he says, I can reduce paint and graffiti. So the question comes down to how many lights do we want, and where do we want them? Do we want 4 on, or 2?
I think the recommendation or the request was to have 2 on each one of the parking lots. What I was going to say, Mr. President, is what about this as a suggestion? What about having the staff develop a request for quotes.
Yeah.
And they could bring that to the next meeting, and then if the board wants to approve the issue of the request for quotes, that'll give you guys maybe some more time to talk about it, maybe reach out, maybe think about it a little more, then you can approve the issuance of the request for quotes at our next meeting, if you want to. If
So I
not-
kind of, I'll weigh in just one more time
Okay.
here. You know, I like to get things done, so I sent out some emails to Hawk and
that's right.
Midwestern
I forgot about
Electric.
that,
Yeah, and I didn't write a big, I told them how many lumens we wanted on the ground and, you know, give me a quote for 4 poles out there.
Okay.
And naturally, nobody quotes what you ask them to. So, you know, one came back, we'll get you two poles for this, and then the other guy comes back, well, we'll get you 4, you know, for that. So I might have short-circuited and I don't know how that would play in. Maybe just issue another proposal.
No, that's all, yeah, that's not an official request, we just have to, you're just getting,
I got some quotes,
Yeah,
is what I was saying.
basic
So-
design quotes
So-
or whatever.
I think that's a good thing to work with staff and have it out on quotes. Let me say one more thing. You know, Holt, I agree with you 100% that, you know, if Chief Campbell says that this is, you know, going to help prevent crime out there, two other comments I have on that. One, it would be interesting to see how they're going to patrol it. Because, you know, even if we put lights out there and it's not adequately patrolled, then you're still going to get the same thing you have, and you're going to encourage more people to be out there after it's closed. So I guess my question is, I'm all in favor for more lights. I love lights. But on the other hand, you know, I mean, I think we have some pieces here that we're saying that Chief Campbell says this is a great thing. But, you know, what are we going to do? How are we going to patrol this so, you know, we're not creating a new problem.
Exactly.
And that's what I'm concerned about, we're creating a new
If we
problem.
put lights up out there, are we changing the hours of the operation?
Yeah.
Well, you've got picnic tables there right in those lots, and you know, when you put lights up there, people are gonna be, in my opinion, I think you're gonna have a really good chance that people are gonna be out there on those picnic tables all night long.
And if we
And
don't
some
want that,
benches
if we don't want that to
Yeah.
happen,
And
we're gonna have to
benches are
gate
coming.
off the parking lots,
Yeah,
please.
yeah. Now, I will say, like, if you think about like maybe a grocery store or you know, whatever kind of store, when they are closed, typically their parking lots are still lit up, you know,
Right.
but the door's closed. You can't really get in. Yeah, you can go in the parking lot, but in this case, if the lights are up and they're going in the parking lot, and I'm pretty sure, like, right by there's like picnic tables there, and areas where you can sit down at, right in those areas. In fact, there's a pavilion. They have a pavilion. You can rent out the pavilion, or you know, reserve it. So I mean, that's what's going to end up happening. You're going to have people there all night, all day, or all night long when you put the lights up. So
So I think,
you know, anyways.
in my opinion, I'd like us to go out and get the bids like you said. But if we're gonna put these up and we're gonna prove this at our next meeting, I'd like to hear like a complete plan here, because I feel we don't have a complete plan. If we put the lights up, how is it gonna be enforced? You know, and are we, you know, as a board, do we change the hours of operation then, or what do we do that way? Because I don't think just putting up lights is a real solution here. It's part of the solution, but, you know, what are we gonna do to keep our citizens safe out there?
Will they patrol a lot or a park that's supposed to be closed?
Are we providing a solution to a non-problem? I think it's a non-problem.
So I guess I'm gonna ask the board for a motion for the staff to work on getting quotes on lights. And I think that moves it down the road a little bit. At least we have a little bit more information there. And then I'm gonna also ask if, you know, we can, you know, I don't wanna waste Chief Campbell's time, but ask Chief Campbell, because he has a lot to do, you know, if he can provide us with, you know, some type of recommendation of how he's gonna patrol it if we do approve the lights out there.
And an identification of what crimes have happened
Yeah.
that we're trying to reduce.
Yeah, I mean, I'm concerned because, you know, as a whole, our city council just, you know, said that we have a healthcare crisis here with some of the handguns and some of the things that are going on in the town. So I'm not opposed to any of this. I would just want to be ensured that, you know, we're not creating another problem. That's all.
Yeah, is the sanitary district gonna then be responsible for policing and getting the people out? If there's a, you know, if there's lights on there and you drive by there at 11 o'clock at night and it's dark out and there's some people in the pavilion, are we gonna then have to come in and tell them that they can't be in here? You know, those are questions that we're gonna have to have answered.
Your point about the parking lots being lit at the grocery store, but the door is closed, that leads me to ask the question, are there gates there?
No, there are no gates, sir.
So it's just open?
Right, and then if we had gates, then we'd have to hire.
Somebody'd have to go close the
Right,
gates.
right, and then they'd cut the locks and we'd buy new locks for the gates.
And now just
every
come with
week.
bolt cutters and cut the lock.
Yeah.
Another growing problem.
A liability issue.
Yeah. Like I said, it just moves the problem further away. They stay out, get out of the parking lot and go down the trail where the lights aren't on.
Yeah. Now we gotta light the trail.
Right.
So I guess that would,
Still not gonna get patrolled.
that I would, you know, I'd,
So you want us to work on a request for quotes and come to the next meeting for approval to issue it, or you want it issued?
I think we want quotes. Well, I would make a motion that we would go ahead and let staff work and put a proposal together for quotes and go out to bid and have them come back and see, you know, what they are, and you guys can vote this down. It's just, you know, it's moving it down a little bit so we have a little bit more knowledge. But I think one other thing that I'd like is, you know, to have Chief Campbell come here, or you know, talk to, you know, Mike, have Mike reach out to Chief Campbell and, you know, get some of those answers that we want. You know, how is he going to patrol it, you know, and then on top of it, you know, what have been the crimes out there. But, you know, I guess I'm concerned about our city and like we all are, that, you know, with some of these new concerns that the city council has as well, so.
Well, quotes are a good move.
Yeah.
We should go out and get quotes, find out how much it is, it's another piece of information, and then, you're right.
So.
You're right.
All right, well, we'll work on putting some quotes together and getting them issued, and then if maybe they could even be in time for the next board meeting, and then in the meantime, staff can try to reach out to Mr. Campbell, Chief Campbell, and maybe to the mayor and get his ideas on the issue, and then also probably try to formulate some kind of a plan about gates and different things.
Yeah.
Okay?
What about, is this gonna raise a whole nother can of worms, like over for like the Carwick area and that kind of thing, or?
I mean, and what about,
Where do we stop?
what's this little place we walk to, of the Cove? You know? The
We need
Cove
lights
over
on
there?
the bridge over
The
here?
Cove, Winding Cove, are we gonna put lights at Winding Cove now too, you know, and it's those are the kind of questions that, you know.
So we need like Tony to give us a map of all the parks and decide whether or not they have lighting and or need lighting.
Yeah, I mean, you know, okay.
Holt, do you have anything else on that? Is that okay to let staff go out to bids on this and then get the information and talk to Chief Campbell and then come back?
I'm completely okay with the direction of that.
Okay. All right, so that's what we'll do,
That's
please.
the right thing to
Yes,
do,
sir.
yeah.
Okay. Go ahead,
Okay,
Michael.
okay, the US, 300 North and US Highway 421, the only update on that is that Matt Reardon, who is the economic development guy for the county of LaPorte, he is going to request the use of the Recovery Act, American Recovery Act funds for the TIF district.
Is this the
Okay?
Love's truck stop?
Yes, sir, and the sewer in that area, so.
They
And
have come into NDOT for their stormwater permit and driveways, so.
Good, and they have issued us also, I wanted to mention that Love's wants to put in a larger interceptor sewer, but it's actually gonna be like an actual sewer that they would dedicate to us, but then other buildings on their property would tie in, so we need to get an easement for that, and they've submitted their application for the larger sewer and also for the taps, that there'd be the lateral taps coming into that sewer, and they sent that to us for approval. The next thing is that he sent us an update on the Interstate 94 and US Highway 35 TIF area. He said that tonight's the night, which was Monday. He is going to need a sprinkle of ARP money. He's going to ask the council for some funds. And I also reminded him to change the name of the TIF district because he had it the 8094 US 35 TIF district, and that's not Interstate 80 out there, so. And then he was arguing with me. That was the funny part. I like Matt. Matt's really, he's a good guy. He's pretty good. He says it like it is, you know. And he was like, well, that's what it's called, isn't it? I said, no, that's not I-80. So anyways, hopefully they're going to change the name. But you know, that's the status of those projects. And then we've got, next on the agenda, I need to flip the page, and we're getting there again. Oh boy, we still got a whole other,
Yeah, we do.
whole other page to go. Energy savings. We had a decent month in January, or a decent month in December, which is the January report, which you usually get it on the 10th. We had $5,535 of savings, which is the highest savings that we ever had in January again, so we're on a good pace. And the demand was still kind of high, 582. If you remember in December, the 508 that we had in December of 2021 was the lowest demand that we ever had. This month we bumped up to 582. Somebody needs to tell somebody to have it rain in the off hours, okay? That's what happened to us there. And it was, and boy, I'm telling you, I don't know the exact time. What is it? I think it's 8 or 10 o'clock. It changes to the non-peak. And we got a big rain event like 1 hour before that. And one of the December days when it rained, if you remember some of that rains we had in December, and all of our pumps turned on, and that was why we had that peak demand. You know, you could analyze this stuff really far, but you know, we do have this basin, which we really don't like to put water in there in the winter if we don't have to, but those are some things, you know, you could even do is divert it to the basin, but then you have to pump it back, so I don't know how much to really say, but that demand charge is a killer sometimes. But we've looked at different rates, it's still the cheapest rate for us. So now we're on pace to save $95,759 in the 4th year of our energy savings project. And again, you look at that, in the first year we saved 56 and then 70, then we really bumped it up to 92 and 95. Those are with all the other additional savings that we implemented. That was not done through the engineer, the ESG. And then that 4th year kilowatt savings, we're on pace to save 1.2 million kilowatts now. That's crazy. That's really beautiful. Yeah. That's so exciting. For some geek like me, that's what excites me. That's true, man. I'm telling you. You know, you go to these conventions, you know, I know I was saying stuff about Michigan City, and some people on the camera or whatever, if they're even still listening, who knows, think this stuff is fluff. I'm telling you, when I went to that last Partners Pollution Prevention Conference, when I presented on everything that we're doing here in Michigan City in the Sanitary District, a couple of people, and there's one lady in particular who works for the state, she says, you gotta take this everywhere. She says, everyone needs to see what you guys are doing in Michigan City. This is phenomenal, you know. She says, you need to take this presentation around the country and show everybody. So it's really, there's so much potential in this city. There really is. So, and when I was talking to them about the kilowatt hour savings, you know, these people, this is what they live for. These people are so excited to see that. Okay, then this is the blower thing. Since we've put the blower speed savings, since we put the actuators on, and in December we were at 60.4%. We went up a little bit from the 59.9 that we had in November, but if you look last December we were at 64.3. So the actuators are really doing a great job of reducing our speed on the blower and reducing our kilowatts. In December of 2020 we had 128.8 average kilowatts, and in December 21 we were 114, so that saves 14 kilowatt kilowatts, and then you multiply that by 24 hours a day times the months, and that's big savings. And as of the end of December, we were up to $18,778 worth of savings. But I can tell you now, since I put the stat in, not every day, but usually sometimes every day, but if I get behind, I pick it up. We're over $19,000 now in annual savings on the since we put the actuators in. So that'll bring that 6.3 years return on investment down, and it's got to be under 6 by now.
I'll pay for a couple of those CDL drivers.
Yeah, except it's a different fund, right?
Yeah, right.
The Blue Swag report's in here. I'm not going to dwell on that right now since we've spent so much time today. The South Shore project is actually, looks like it's actually moving forward now. They're starting some construction, so that's your little update in your email note. Is there any questions about the South Shore? We're communicating with those people, and we've done everything we need to do, and we'll help any way we can. The US 35 project, we had the draft PER, the preliminary engineering report, on December 10th, and on one of these dates in here, I told them to go ahead and just finish the report, and I still have not seen if they finalized it yet, so I wrote him another note on Monday, the 24th, and asked him if they finalized that PER, and I haven't.
You didn't hear anything from him yet
I
today?
haven't heard back that I remember seeing on my emails. The next thing is this Renaissance Academy. Remember, this is the sewer that's tied into us now, and they own it and operate it, but they want to have it expand and have other people tie in on that east side. You guys know where that east side meat market is out there? You know, that area is prime for expansion out there, and I think that's also where they're looking at putting some of that TIF area out there. That's, you know, big time stuff, so they want to dedicate that to us, and these are some discussion points that he sent to Mr. James Meyer about the agreement, and they're working on trying to finalize the agreement. What the agreement's going to do is that when someone else would tie into the sewer, we would collect the fee for that, and then we would send it back to the people, because there's like a 15-year payback on the sewer, that if you construct it, you can get payback on your sewers.
Any idea of the timeline of when he's gonna have that agreement?
I would say within the next month. That's what I would say. Okay, and now we're on to, this is the airport project. This is the update on the airport project, and what I wanted to show you here is on the back page, the cost of the airport project is going to be $1.995 million. That's what you engineers do, right? Mr. Werner, you make sure it's under $2 million?
Right.
So, and I don't know.
Save a few feet of pipe here, a little bit less there, move the building a little closer,
Yeah, so, and I'm sometimes get a little bit confused about this project because it's been on hold for so long. I don't know if Mr. Meyer, if you're still on the phone, are we gonna have to pay that money up front and then get reimbursed?
I can't, excuse me, I don't know the answer to that question. I would assume the answer would be no, because I don't think the district can afford to pay it up front.
There you go.
Unless there's some assistance from some other, like, you know, city council or something.
Okay.
We have been paying engineering costs.
As you know, if anybody looks at this email, they still have not received a funding commitment.
Right.
I understand it from the FAA. You know, until they get a funding commitment, I don't know why the district would want to spend any substantial amounts of money preparing for a project that, you know, may not occur.
So should we stop paying the engineer?
Well, we're still paying the engineering work, Mr. Meyer. I think we had an agreement with them to do that.
That's true.
Okay.
But, I mean, how far we go with the engineering work, they're under our control. They're our engineers.
I understand.
And, you know, I don't know. I'm not familiar with the airport. I haven't had any conversations with anybody at the airport. Maybe somebody on the board has, as to whether this is, you know, this is that extending the runway over Michigan Boulevard. And, you know, is that a real project, meaning it's for sure going to happen, or is it a wish project that the airport would really like to have, but, you know, the FAA hasn't shown that it's willing to do the funding?
I can tell you from the department head meetings, Jessica was not at the last department head meeting, but the one before that, she said this project is a go, no doubt about it, and it's going to move forward and should be starting soon. So I'm just telling you what she's saying, but, you know, like you always tell me that, and what, $3 to get you a cup of coffee at Starbucks, right?
Or a half a cup.
I know one of the commissioners on the board, and we talk about this project all the time, and I know it's moving. You just have to get in the queue with the FAA, and they were in the queue, and then something happened and they got kicked out, but now I know they're back in the queue. So I think, Jim, to your point, you know, we need to figure out, you know, the time schedule of what they're doing in order to do a commitment to this, right? I mean, it's not, you know, I mean, you know, do they think that the FAA is going to give them approval this year with the federal budget on this? Where are they in that aspect of it? So, but I know it's a real project. I know it's going to happen. It just may have been, you know, like the South Shore, delayed a year because of funds and other things. So, you know, that's kind of what.
Well, maybe I'll suggest that we maybe I could even get this scheduled before I leave on Friday or Saturday. We will see if we can't get a hold of this engineer and maybe set up a Zoom meeting with Jessica at the airport and our engineers, and we'll get Mr. Wright involved so he doesn't have to say he didn't know about what was going on. We'll probably have to go back and find the emails where we already sent this to you 3 times.
Yeah, I probably got them.
I'd say from the NDOT side for the relocation of the roadway, I've not heard any movement with that either, so it's not seemingly be on the front burner with NDOT for the roadway underground.
Is that NDOT's road at that point instead of the city's?
It's, that's NDOT, that's US 35 up to 94 Bridge.
Okay.
So are you guys gonna do the construction on it then, if it goes forward?
It'll be part of the airport construction.
Okay.
But it's a NDOT roadway, so we'll do all the review.
Yeah, I mean, so that would be helpful, that we know where the timeline and where the project is and all that stuff.
Let's get that on the agenda, okay? A meeting with the engineer and with our engineers, and make sure we loop in Mr. Wright, please.
Yeah,
maybe Mr. Warner too. Would you want to sit down on something like that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mr. Warner too, so he can know what's going on for the NDOT. Is that okay? I don't think we could have more than 2. Is that all right to have 2 board members in a meeting like that, Mr. Meyer? Would that be considered a public meeting?
No, 2, a majority is a public meeting.
Yeah, okay.
2 is fine.
Okay, so we can't have more than both of you.
Right, but you guys would be representing different
Yeah, I'd
interests.
be with NDOT.
Well, you're still on our board, so you don't want to get into a
Yeah,
situation where
that's
someone's
true.
going to say we didn't have a public meeting. So
Yeah.
as long as it's just those 2,
Yeah.
it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, can I go on then?
Yes, please.
Okay, we have in your packet, as you know, we have this, what we call the green infrastructure on Michigan Boulevard that the district has been helping out for last several years now, and we have a contract for next year. And I would like to get your approval for us to again go with Servicescape. We asked for quotes on this, we got the quotes in at one of the meetings recently. They were the only company that quoted. I believe it's a fair price, and I believe it's something that the board should approve for 2022. So I'd like to get your approval of the Michigan, landscape maintenance agreement for the green infrastructure for 2022 between the district and Servicescape.
Can I get a motion, please?
I'll motion to approve.
Second? Holt, did you drop off?
Is that what Tim gave you?
Yeah. Okay. Holt? Yeah, so I guess it's us 3 guys.
All right, second.
All right, all in favor, Tim Warner?
Aye.
Jeffrey Wright?
Aye.
Tim Smith, aye. Holt? Motion passes. Keep going, Michael.
One thing I'll let you guys in on, a little tip, a little secret. We had them plant some tulips in there last year. So
Nice.
in the spring, yeah, I know, I think it's gonna be
Great.
nice. So
Oh, that'll be great.
yeah, so I think next year when the springtime comes, and I think the way they did it too was with the different blooming times, like early, middle, late. So that should look pretty nice in there next year.
So I like Servicescape. They're like familiar with what our expectations are working on Michigan Boulevard.
Right.
We went through some things.
Right. And one thing though that we definitely, I got one more thing on this part of the agenda. One thing though that we do need to do, and it's just time keeps getting away from us, is there's an irrigation system that's in that area.
Yeah, that's not-
And it's got a major, there's a couple of leaks. There's 2 leaks we know for sure. One is major, one time it leaked for like a month or something, and the bill of the city pays for that, and it was outrageous. But so we shut the system off. But we probably do need to find some time, guys, to next year to talk with somebody to try to find those leaks, or I
Would
know
that save the watering truck? Would that save the watering
yeah, we use the
truck?
watering truck now
Yeah,
sometimes. I mean, it works great, when it's raining, it works great. It collects the storm water and it does a pretty decent job.
When it's rainy.
When you don't get enough rain, then you gotta water it or the plants start dying. But the thing is, also our IT department, as you know, they have the ditch witch thing, and then they also have the hydraulic HDD, and they've said that they could just install a new irrigation system, so we might also want to look at that too.
Yeah.
Okay, so one more thing on that part of the agenda, and that is the grant that we received for the dredging of take one of those and pass it around, please. It's called the SWIFT grant, which is the State Transportation and Stormwater Grant. There's I guess I called it SWIFT. It's not actually, SWIFT is the other grants that we got turned down for, which is the state wastewater treatment funding. This is actually the State Transportation and Stormwater Grant. We received 2 grants, one for the State Road 212 White Ditch Drainage Improvement, and the other one for the US Highway 12 small sewer over there by Custer. So this is a letter that they're asking us to send to them before we can finalize the grant agreement, and we called them to make sure. So we're going to receive $120,000 worth of grant funding. The project is bid at $178,845, so that leaves a difference of $58,036, and they need a letter from us verifying that the funds have been committed by our board president, and notice it actually says Tim Smith, and as board president.
Don't even have to scratch that one out.
So we don't have to scratch it out. And we have actually we're going to issue a purchase order for this one upon your approval, and we'll copy the purchase order and send this to them, and they said that was fine. That's the only step we need, and then we can get the grant agreement out, and once we get the grant agreement out, then we can issue a notice to proceed to HRP, I believe, who was the low bidder on that project.
Is this from Muir Road all the way down to?
No, it's from, you know where Sandon Industries are on Friar Road? It's from their outfall from their stormwater pond just to Friar Road. And we tried to go further that way towards those railroad tracks, but the state didn't like that because it's a big wetland in there. But the thing about that is if you haul the stuff off, you don't really, you're not filling in a wetland, which we were going to try to haul everything off. But when they came out and met with us, Marty Maupin, who was the man from IDEM for that's a 401 certification permit you have to get, he was saying you really just need to do it like this. So we said okay.
INDOT has a plan to replace that culvert from Muir Road over to the north of the railroad tracks. That will be in fiscal year 25, I think.
You're talking on US Highway 12.
Right.
Yeah, that's a
weird looking monster there.
It curves underneath
right.
It goes like this and then it turns underneath the road.
Do you know if the section of the Muir Road piece is the city's culvert, or is that all?
It's all INDOT. INDOT owns all that.
It's going to be a while, but I'd like to see what our plan is.
From our
there.
perspective, you guys own that.
Yeah, I was looking at some recent documents on that, and
Don't worry
it turns
about
out that INDOT owns the entire ditch.
Tim's got it.
I mean, I know we've got to do something there. I know that's upcoming, and we're trying to. There's a couple other culverts. We have a contract right now that Lawson Fisher's working on in that section for resurfacing, but I think we're pulling that piece out at the far west end of the state, or east end of the state line, and a piece from Mount Baldy back down along county line, just because we don't have culverts addressed in that before we pave. We don't want to have to replace a culvert right away afterwards, so.
But no, that culvert underneath the highway 12
It's
is
a
all,
mess. I
it's all
looked at it, and
done. And we
got a
actually,
box and then it turns into an oval or
Right.
something that's
Yeah.
corrugated going back under Mary.
exactly, and it's all dredged, it needs to be dredged in there too real bad. We actually had a request for bids for doing all the dredging work on White Ditch, all of it. And we got that several years ago, and we just don't have the funding to do it, so. Okay, so can we get approval for the funds then?
Yeah, can I get a motion, please?
Move to approve the letter for Mr. Smith to sign.
Second. All in favor, Tim Warner?
Aye.
Jeffrey Wright?
Aye.
Tim Smith? Aye. Motion passes. This is one other thing that I just want to say that Mike has done really well, is all the grant money that I wish we could, on that Scott's, find out how much during his 10 years that we've been able to get, and I just hope once he leaves that we continue aggressively, and I say aggressively, going after grants, because it saved the district a ton of money. So thank you for that too, Michael.
So has SWAG also been, Delta or somebody effective in doing that with the grants?
Yeah, Delta has been helping us, that's part of the SWAG contract that we have, that they help us look for grants, but
we approved that last month, right?
Yeah. Now this one though, we just did on our own, this particular one. If you remember, we sent in, I think it was 5 different projects, 3 on the water side, maybe before we did the Lafayette Barker. I know we did, tried to get that, it's not a scrubber, but
Yeah, it's absorber.
absorber, we tried to get that absorber for the chlorine, and we did a couple
Still
of,
like to try and get that.
yeah, we did Adams Park too, that was another one we sent in, so anyways, okay, so that's approved?
Yes.
You've got the one for him to sign?
I
He could sign the one he has.
Here,
I
sign
just,
this one.
I just messed it up.
No, we
It's
need
not,
to- we need to
it's
go
not
with the
original.
color.
I need
I
color.
got one for you.
We need to go with the color.
Yeah.
Okay, I would really, listen to me, I know I like to goof around, but I'm being very serious. I would really like to go through these reports a little more detail, but we've just been here for so long, so I'm not going to. So if we could slip to, if we could slide to the annual reports, I just wanted to go over a couple of the annual reports. 2021. I put the monthly reports first, and then I put I should have maybe done a different color. What I wanted to touch on is, first of all, I want to thank everyone at the Sanitary District for doing these monthly reports. I don't know if Mr. Milanovich is going to keep up with that in my absence. That's certainly going to be his call. I find them to be, I think they're invaluable from the standpoint that if the public wants to say, well, what are you guys doing? You know, paying this guy this money, what are you doing? Here's what we're doing, you know? And so I think they're really invaluable in that respect. I know the same thing with Mr. McCoy with his monthly reports. You know, whether they all get scrutinized and read, you know, Holt, I know, probably reads every page of them. I know I read them over, but at the end of the day, you've got something that shows what you did for the month. And I really think I used to do them when I was with the state, and then I had a boss that he didn't want them, and I kept doing them anyway, because I figured someone's gonna wanna know what I did on this day, and I used to do mine by the day, so. And then I have them put the annual reports together, and I got all the annual reports. I'm still waiting on one annual report, but other than that, they're all here. But I just wanna touch on this 2021 major accomplishments. We had nearly 100% compliance. Last year we had 100% compliance. We had one minor total residual exceedance in October. Other than that, we had full compliance. Overall treatment efficiencies of the wastewater treatment plant, I'm talking about the wastewater treatment plant under the Water Reclamation Department. The biological oxygen demand removal was 98% last year. This year was 99% removal. Total suspended solids was 99%. And ammonia on the actual form, probably should have caught this on the form that we sent in, it actually said it was 100% removal, okay? Because it rounded it off to the nearest whole number.
99.9.
When I went back, it was 99.9% removal of ammonia, so that's pretty impressive. And then phosphorus was 92%. The next bullet item down, we had 0 combined sewer overflows again in 2021. You know, I know a lot of towns are still struggling with their combined sewer overflows and spending billions, and I'm not talking millions, billions of dollars trying to fix their combined sewer overflows. And Michigan City is lucky to already have this done. We had none again in 2021. And the last time we had an overflow was 2018. You might remember it was February 2018. I remember it was all that snow, and then we had rain. It rained like for, I don't know, I want to say like 7 days in a row or something like that. And I just was going through some photos last night, and I saw a picture of the Potawatomi Golf Course. It just, all you could see was the tip top of the bridge. And I have to commend Mr. Stanford for having the best response when I sent that to the crew. He writes back, does anybody mind if I play through? That was pretty funny. But anyways, that was the last time we had an overflow, and that's awesome. We implemented the actuator valve controls, and as you can see on this here, I've updated it with $19,300 a year. That's what we're up to now. We've implemented energy saving projects that now we're going to save $95,000. The Wonderware system, that Wonderware, thank you for approving that Wonderware SCADA work. It's so awesome. The stuff that we're able to do now, and just, you know, sit at our desk and look at graphs and trends, and you know, we were talking about the sludge blankets and the clarifiers now. I mean, I open it up and I can tell you what the sludge blanket, every clarifier was yesterday, today, 30 days, 60 days, a month. It's all the alarms and bells and whistles. It's really cool. I added one thing. We had this emergency situation with the phosphorus. Remember when all that phosphorus came in, and we handled that? Steve put together that really awesome report on that. That was kudos to this plant. Everybody, that's the thing about it, like when I talk about the togetherness. I mean, everybody just dropped what they were doing and did everything we needed to do to pull out the stop on that without a violation. That was incredible. We did that emergency repair to that gallery piping. You remember that busted, that return line, or influent line busted. And then one thing it's not on here, I added another bullet on my little copy. And the CNG, you know, sometimes people say, well, you know, that's a lot of money, why do you do that? We saved an average of $27,180 last year, $27,180 on cost of fuel last year by running the CNG trucks. And one of the things that really paid off, and going back to that palletizing of the sludge, drying of the sludge, we were able to use our CNG trucks to do a lot of the hauling now, because we got those 3 new trucks, our CNG, so that's why we ended up saving even more last year, because we did a lot of hauling with those natural gas trucks this year, especially this, and in November and December. So that's great. And then on top of the $27,180 savings, we also are going to receive a special excise tax rebate of $13,590 for 2021. So total savings of $40,770 from the CNG. So you can't underestimate. And again, grant money. We got these trucks with the grant money. We got grant money to install the CNG compressor units when we first got it, and so forth. And then, like I said earlier, saving money, hey, no doubt, everyone loves to save money, but this is better for the environment. These trucks are pretty much, I don't want to say zero pollution, but they are really, really environmentally friendly and quiet too. So, okay, so that's that. I got a couple more highlights on here. Stormwater, the training run project is completed, and it came in about $200,000 below budget, and with over $500,000 worth of grant funding. $500,000 just on that one project alone. And then the completion of the Carwick dump site remediation project. This is over a $1 million project that was completed with insurance proceeds at zero cost to the Michigan City taxpayers. Zero cost to the Michigan City taxpayers. And I have to again commend Mr. Meyer. He was the one that said we should go down this road, and you know, and it worked out perfect. Refuse trucks, we received $140,000 of grant money for those refuse trucks. That's the second boiler item under refuse. And refuse was able to reduce the household piles from 8.9 days in 2020 to 5.8 days picking them up in 2021. We have a spreadsheet that we keep track of all that stuff. And I might touch on a couple more of those things and then I'll be done. Fiber optic has been installed by the IT department, and also kudos to the IT department for spearheading all these countless virtual meetings. First they were at Kruger, and then they got moved from there over to the senior center, and they've been, I mean, these people are there all night doing this stuff. They have to get there early in the morning to break everything down, because if there's a wedding or something, they have to have it all done. So just a kudos to the IT department for all that great work that they've done. 2022 goals, we want to continue continuous improvement is really what we are, with fiscal responsibility and sustainability, with safety and training, with being a steward of the environment for air, water, and land, and completion of all major projects on time within budget, continue to find energy savings, get the fiber optic completely installed, and improve efficiency at the refuse department with pickups. Those are our goals for,
there you go, Mike, there's your goals.
For 2022.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It says 21 on there.
It says 22 on mine, see?
Oh, does it? Okay.
It said 21 on mine, but I corrected it because I do that for the first month of the year every year anyway. So.
Good thing I had it reviewed by 2 people. You weren't one of them, so. But yeah, that's fine. I noticed it today
No,
too.
just kidding.
I noticed it. Well, I know. I was telling you. I wrote it on my 2022. I did fix it in the online shared file. I fixed it, and I fixed it in the file that you guys will get when I leave. And then lastly, if we could just go to the refuse department, which is the last report right before the dockets. I just want to say again that these guys came to this meeting today to talk about their pay and their salary and stuff, and I commend them for coming here. I really do. I like their energy, and they were both very well spoken and nice young men, and I really appreciate that. I don't want anyone to think I don't. I think that's awesome, and I think the board received them well. I think you guys did a good job, but you know, they're working in tough conditions. I mean, they're driving in trucks together, and they got this COVID is probably tougher on them than almost anybody, because they have to be together. But overall, we remain fiscally responsible, and we improved our cash balance by $236,000 in 2000 as compared to 2020. So that's pretty impressive. On page 2, we picked up 14,694 tons this year. That is the highest we've picked up for a while. If you look at the graph, it seems to be higher after June for the most part. We did go to a new company in July. I think we started with a new company in July, so I don't know if their scales might be, certified. Maybe we're just picking up a lot more this year. So and it was more even before that. So, and then on the last page, we've got this household piles that I talked about. I don't have it highlighted. I don't use this highlight anyway, but in August of 19, we started this Excel spreadsheet where we've been keeping track of it. So since August of 19, and this does not include anything during spring cleanup. Spring cleanup, we don't put anything on this form. We picked up 6,937 household piles we picked up in this city. And there's your totals there for 2020 and 21 are all there. And the average time for pickup in 2020, the average time was 8.9 days that it was out there. And in 2022 or 21, it was 5.8 days. Did I say that right?
Mike, on these 6,937, we keep track of how many are repeat pickups from the same address?
We do keep track. Okay, that's a good question. We do keep track of that. When I was talking with my refuse men earlier this year, they were really complaining about, it's the same guys that throw it out there. And I look at Mr. McCoy because he was helping me a little bit with this. And if you know anything about Microsoft Excel, you can sort it how you want. So we sorted it by address, okay? But this is one thing is about, for anybody that ever uses Microsoft Excel, I know he already knows this, is that when you do addresses in Microsoft Excel, you can't put the number address and the street address in the same column because it won't sort it right. So you have to have a column for the number and a column for the street. So we added a column, but there were, it really wasn't that many repeat customers. There was a few, I think there were only, I'd have to go find it. I want to say there might have been 30 or 40 that were twice, but I think there was less than 10 that were like more than 4 times.
It's less than 0.5%.
Yeah, it wasn't that much as you wanted to say.
I just wondered if there was like somebody who was just...
It's something that we have done, and I if I had a little more time, I love doing that kind of stuff too. But so anyways, the other thing I want to point out about this, and this is another thing for Mr. Miladovich and for the board, is if you look at June, July, August, September, okay, and maybe even this year, October, those are the months that have the highest. And I can tell you right now, August is your month. If you notice, 17.9 days in 2020, and the highest by far, or not by far, but 9.5 days. August, every year, we just start getting behind on these special pickups. So some planning needs to be done. We talked before about maybe having some summer help that could come in and help with this kind of stuff. But I just think that once part of it is that's when a lot of your vacations are, and that's just seems to be the height of this stuff. So being on the ball, being prepared a little bit more for how we're going to handle it, I think will work better. We are better staffed now than we were in the summer. In the summer, we were really kind of low on staff because we were really, quite frankly, worried about the it's a tax-based fund, and we're running it on a shoestring, really. We're running it really close to the cuff. Anyways, that's the stuff I wanted to say there. I really appreciate everything from the board members. Thank you so much for the compliments and for all the support, and also for not just being rubber stamping stuff. I really do appreciate the discussion. Do we really want to do that and this and that? That makes it all work well. But I've appreciated my time here so much. Thank you so much. And maybe someday I'll just stop in and maybe give you guys a hard time during public comment. You never know.
3 minutes.
Yeah. I'm the big guy. I'm here to help you now. That's what he's going to walk in and say.
Here comes Mr. EPA.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for running through all that. So you can say that's a huge body of work that the staff and you have done. So thank you very much. Jim, are you still on?
Yes.
You're up.
I really don't have anything, excuse me, more to add on the legal side. I'll answer any questions if anybody has any about anything.
Any questions?
I do believe it's important that we have some direct conversations with the people at the airport as opposed to just with the engineer.
Yep.
And there should be some concern given in reference to the lighting at Streeple Pond. Once you put that up, you're going to be encouraged, especially if you don't have any kind of dates, encouraging people to be there. The long and short about which is I can tell you as an attorney that you're going to increase your potential liability. Because you're in essence inviting people to come there no matter what your little sign at the gate shows. So the long and short of all that is, though, is there's risk everywhere. And the question I would recommend you, somebody ask Harley or somebody from General Insurance as to what, if any, effect that would have on your insurance rates. Other than that, I would just, I'm disappointed that in all this time I still haven't convinced Michael that you can say in 10 words what he takes 100 words to say.
Wow. Jim, you were just waiting for your turn to say something, weren't you?
He was glad he wasn't here to say it.
Wow.
Been waiting since 4 o'clock for that.
It's true, and it's been an honor and most importantly a pleasure to work with Michael to really do some great things for the city of Michigan City, especially in particular the sanitary district. People who work for municipalities know that for the most part you're not doing it for the money, you're doing it somewhat for the money, but you're also doing it because you want to help people, or in this case protect the environment as well. I can't think of anybody that I've run across in my 35 years of representing sanitary districts who have been more capable, more passionate, and worked with more integrity than Michael. And I'm surely going to miss working with him. Wish him his best in the future. And I'll be working hard with Mr. Milanovich and Steve and the crew to keep things going the way that he has set them on the track to go. So thank you, Michael.
Well, thank you, sir. Very nice comments. I appreciate them all. And you know, I talk to you almost every day, and I really appreciate, since the first time I met you, I really appreciate everything that you bring to the table, and thank you so much. It's been totally my pleasure to work with you.
All right. Thanks, Jim. Any old business? Any old business? Any old business? Any new business? Any new business? Any new business? Seeing that there is none, I will ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
I'll second.
This meeting is adjourned, and
You didn't vote to approve the claims, did you?
No.
oh, whoops. Hey, Jim, you keep us honest.
Now do we have to have a motion to
My bill's in there.
Move to adjourn.
All right, can I get a motion?
Unadjourn the meeting first?
Move to adjourn the meeting.
Yeah. Well, I didn't say it was adjourned yet.
Oh, okay.
So, can I get an approval of the claims, please? A motion to approve the claims?
Motion to approve the claims.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Tim Warner?
Aye.
Jeffrey Wright?
Aye.
Tim Smith? Claims are approved. Thank you.
Okay.
And with no further ado, can I get a motion to adjourn,
I'm
please?
not even gonna do it this time.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Tim Warner?
Aye.
Jeffrey Wright?
Aye.
Tim Smith? We are adjourned, gentlemen. Thank you, and we'll see you in February.
Yeah, just, if you could sign up.